LaRue. Good evening. The time is 6:31 p.m., Wednesday, November 12th, and welcome to the Swatara Township Stormwater Authority meeting. You all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Secretary Savage, if you please call the roll.
Director Tuckey.
Here.
Director Rita. Here. Director Connolly.
Here.
Director Ellis. Here. Chairman Steele.
Here.
Chairman Uniform.
The Stormwater Authority did not have an executive session. Up to item 3. Is there any visitors' requests and comments? All right, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Motion. Got a motion from Director Conley. Is there a second? I got a second from Director Ellis. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor give your consent by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining? That motion passes. Item 5 on the agenda is consideration of minutes, October 8th, 2025. I entertain a motion. Motion. I got a motion from Director Conley. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Director Ellis. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Anyone abstaining? That motion passes. Item 6 is going to be a presentation by PFM for the stormwater rate study. Ben Kappenstein. Did I pronounce that right, Ben? Ben Kappenstein? Thanks for coming, Ben.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Ben Kappenstein with PFM. I'm going to talk through some stormwater rate projections tonight. So I want to make sure I get all your questions answered. I will tick through this pretty quick, but please stop me if you want to. So,
Ben, what I intend to do is just let you get to your presentation, and if we have to go back to a specific slide,
fine.
then the directors can come back and ask any questions.
Good? Okay. So if we're starting on page 2, usually just to like to start off with some of the system highlights. So the system has about 28,259 ERUs, which is basically the same if you've heard that term EU equivalent dwelling unit. It represents a single household is how you can look at it. So 28,259, that's a lot. That's a good amount of users. The system does project pretty large future capital plans. I know you're still in development of that. We're going to talk about that. We're in a bunch of different scenarios to show you spend more capital, what that rates. There's currently about $834,000 of debt tied to the stormwater system. It amortizes at about $112,000 annually, and it ends in 2032. Right now, the system has a pretty good amount of cash on hand, so we measure that in what's called days cash on hand. Right now, the system has 524 days cash, meaning that if no future revenues came in, you could survive 524 days with your operating expenses just on the reserves that you have currently, which is about $1.64 million. Major modeling assumptions. So we use the 25 stormwater budget as the base year. The rate structure doesn't change. It's a flat annual rate with bills sent out annually. We have inflation in here, so it's 2.5% inflation. We assume no customer growth to be conservative. However, we are told there is some growth projected, the data center as well as commercial stuff. So any of that would come in would temper down any rate increases in some of these scenarios. Growth is good. We also assume 10% grant funding for all capital projects. And a lot of the capital is about 50-50 paid in cash versus being financed. And we want to work with you once you come up with a final capital plan to figure out that split and how that'll look. So what did we find? If you spend $500,000 a year in capital, you basically don't have to raise rates through 2035. So a pretty good amount of capital. But if you go to 1.5 million, there are rate increases associated with it. We're going to look at those in a minute. So using debt as a technique does make you pay more over time and interest, but it also lowers the amount of cash that's going out to pay for the capital projects, therefore muting the rate increases that are associated. We can help explore different things. And then the last thought there's a couple DCIB loans that are still hanging out there. You could potentially repurpose those for stormwater projects in the future. Okay, next slide, please. So just looking at history first, this is a graph from 2022 to 2025 of the stormwater system, and it shows the growth of the fund balance. So in 2022, the stormwater fund actually had a negative fund balance. It owed money to the general fund. It actually owed a little bit more in 2023, and then had a big turnaround in 24 and continued to improve to the current October 31st balance, about 1.5 million. So a pretty good turnaround in fund balance historically. Next slide, please. And we're just going to look at three different scenarios here. $1.5 million a year of capital, $1 million a year of capital, and $500,000 a year of capital. So nobody likes increased rates. What happens if you don't increase rates at these different capital plans? The top chart there on the right is $500,000. So your fund balance would grow from 1.6 to $2.6 million over the projected period if you spend $500,000 a year. If you go to $1.5 million, the system would actually run out of cash in 2030. So you can see that as the capital goes up, you're going to increase rates to get that fund balance up. Here we have the projected annual flat rate. So right now it's at $60, and you can see that scenario 3, which is the $500,000 capital spend, it remains at $60. So rates aren't increased. If you go to scenario 2, which is $1 million of capital a year, you can see the middle line there where rates do increase from 60 up to $77 by the end of the projection period. And then at the $1.5 million of capital spending, you get to $94 by 2035. So these are the same things, just some rate increases that would be associated with it. Again, scenario 3, there's no rate increases. Scenario 2 and scenario 1, you can see the different rate increases that would happen annually. We always want you to have a good fund balance. So in all of our projections, you are growing your fund balance. So you can see it's at 1.6 there. It is projected to grow under all three scenarios, anywhere from 1.8 million to 2.6 million. And what's that in today's cash on hand, which again is how we measure liquidity. Currently you're at 524 days, and you can see that at the end of the projection period, in some of the scenarios it's down a little bit in the higher spending ones, but in the other one you actually get 648 days. Debt service coverage, another financial metric to look at. Score from Moody's is 2 times debt service coverage. Currently, the system is well above that at around 4.6, and it does decrease over time, but it never really drops below 2, except in that one instance. And even if it does drop below 2, a lot of systems have a 1.1 times coverage ratio, so you have a really good, projected debt service coverage here. So comparing you to neighbors, everybody usually wants to know how does my rate compare. The comparison, you guys actually have the lowest of the sample group in the study. So you're $60 per year, and you can see Susquehanna, Derry, Conewago, there's a bunch of different places on there. They all have higher rates than you, which, is a good thing. If you do have to increase rates in the future, you have rates. Next step, so I think you're working through a capital plan. We think that you should do that 5 years minimum, longer if possible. And then once that plan's in place, we can tailor our plan to see if you need rate increases. Then every year you look at these projections and decide if it's still on track or do you need to make changes. And that's going to get the rest of the stuff. so happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, we'll open up for questions for any of the directors or the finance director. Any directors have any questions?
Yeah, I have some
Go
questions.
ahead.
So on the third page, it goes back to 2022, but the authority was created prior to 2022. Had you looked at doing like 5 years, or what made you choose 2022 as a starting point?
That's what we had. That was the info that we were provided.
Oh, that's the info you were provided. Okay. And my other question is, had you looked at the projects that coincided with those years where there was a negative balance? Because I recall in 2021, several projects were started that kind of went into 2022 and 2023, and it far exceeded prior to that the $500,000 that you had mentioned. Now, if we're using the same exact numbers, wouldn't that $500,000 spend range be for all of the years prior as well?
I don't know what was spent in prior years. No, we haven't looked into specifically what those we could, but that wasn't really a part of the scope, no.
And then my other question is, well, the reason I'm asking is because in 2021, I believe, the board had provided stormwater staff with approval to undertake projects. The staff kept coming back to the board asking for $200,000 here, $200,000 there. And at that time, I believe it was Chairman Connolly had suggested that we allow staff to take money from the reserve fund to pay for the projects, and then the projects would get paid back. But I recall seeing something in 2021 where it was never paid back. So that's what I was just inquiring, if you had looked at those prior years. They were taking money out of the reserve fund to pay stormwater things and then paying back the reserve fund. That was the notion. Yes, correct.
I don't know. I know that there's historical transfers that had happened. I wasn't really involved in the stormwater at that point. I do vaguely kind of remember that. Tom's here if you want to comment on it.
I'll wait till I turn.
Okay.
No,
I will yield to Chairman Steele.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Go ahead.
The reason we're here tonight was to look at whether or not we needed a rate increase. So
I didn't know why we were here.
I'm not familiar with anything that Commissioner Zubek said about these vague 200,000s, but the interesting thing is she was here in 22 and 23 and I wasn't. So if there was any issue, then the rates could have increased. So I think things are going pretty good. I noticed that I feel like we'll look at this in 26, 27. I personally feel like we're at a good rate here. Like you said, we're on the low side. We should have enough money to fund the projects through those years. And I think we're going to be adding obviously impervious surface. So just like how this board has historically tried to handle tax situation, if we have more money coming in from more people, then we don't have to raise, in this case, the rate on the existing people that are involved here. So I know you and I had talked about it, and I think that's something maybe we get with Zach in incorporate the future development, and then we look at how much the money would generate into the pot. So, I mean, I think this is an excellent presentation. I appreciate all the information and the time you took. So we're getting a chance to look at something that shows us that things are going really good and they're on the path to stay that way, but not indefinitely. I mean, between now and
you have to raise it.
yeah.
That way forever. You're gonna have a project come up that's $2.5 million or something. You're gonna have to raise the debt to do it, or however you pay for it, and you're gonna have to raise rates. But right now, it seems that if you're spending $500,000 in that range, you can kind of figure it out without raising rates currently. But you know that could change over the period depending on the projects that come down the line.
And as we had discussed before, when we were, you know, preparing for a presentation, we also are seeing the new development incorporate a lot of stormwater programs into their projects. So we have the ability to do projects that we need to do with the funds that we have, but we're getting other projects that are being taken care of by new development that are actually helping us meet our pollutant reduction plan, taking water off of the streets, stopping the flash flooding. So there's a lot of positives, and I just want to thank you for the detail, the information, and I wasn't familiar with all of the neighbors, so I think that was an interesting sample that you had there, because I saw it stand into another county.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. Nobody wants to pay an extra fee, but $5 a month to meet requirements set by a higher level government.
The thing is, stormwater fees are tax revenue, right? So
Yeah.
in the general, one way or another, these things have to get paid. It's an unfunded mandate. Fair to you, but it's an unfunded mandate you have to deal with, and have to find a way to pay for it. So.
Yeah. And now that with Zach in here, Zach, we're talking about the stormwater fee and how we'd like to be able to track nothing immediate, but between this year and next year, looking at impervious surface as it's added. So when we talk about new development coming in, we can calculate those fees and then have an estimate as to what's coming in. And maybe as we look at that amount coming in from new development, we match it to your graph on the need. And hopefully it will offset.
Right. So
Yeah.
5 million. If you had a 10% rate increase, now it'll be 7% increase, right? If you add growth in. But I think really all we need is the total amount of estimated.
Yeah. I'm just saying as maybe a 6-month update, and then I'm assuming you'll be back in a year.
As far as you can,
Yeah.
a couple years or however far
But-
you can.
Yeah, but if he has it in 6 months and he has it in a year and he can project it from whatever he knows going forward, that would help us decide how long we can go at the same rate, what we would have to increase it to, and
I'd still like to show it to you. I'm glad you're
Yeah. Right.
without the growth we talked about, because
Oh, yeah.
right, obviously everybody hopes it comes. There's been times when stuff is paused, so I always like to start.
Yeah.
Hopefully, what happens.
other than that, I just want to say thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Any other directors?
The capital plan. Yeah, that's big. I mean, you guys should get a real hold on that. I would try a 10-year capital plan if you can. 5's better than nothing, but just to get a sense, it's going to change, but just to get a sense of where.
The only thing that I'll say to that is, I feel like we're gonna have to, it's going to have to be.
Good point. Good point. Yep. Yeah. And we can take assumptions off 5-year spend of what it could be in the future. Fine. Yeah. I think that's already underway. Jane sent me something that.
Yeah, to Director, were you done, Director Ellis? To Director Ellis's point, that's what I was going to raise a point about. Basically, we already know what we're going to do next year because Spring Creek project, right? That's involves Donald Taylor Park, so that'll be one of our stormwater projects. So we're going to have another year of savings. So if we can add that in to this projection, because that 2.6 2035 might be a little bit different, and I guess my thought process is that gives us 2 years of not spending the township's capital, because we already have that money set aside for that project. So that's $1 million. So we can get $1 million project done in 27 now.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And then the next year, maybe 28, I don't know if there would be a new board by then, I can't remember. But in 28, then they might want to do a $500,000 project, wait 2 years and do another $1 million project. I think there's some scenarios we'd like to look at too, but.
Yeah, like I said, we can rerun this stuff.
Rerun
As
that.
you get a new plan, you say, put this in, now what's it look like?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think in 2 years, that was a great turnaround. I think that was a huge effort by all the employees. So I do want to say to the stormwater employees and your help too, because PFM has always helped in the background with financial sound advice. A 2-year turnaround that quick is outstanding.
Have a positive financial balance.
Right.
Fund. You want to keep it so in the future, hopefully, there's not a lot of intermingle. Grow that strong fund
Right.
on its own and survive, just like a sanitary sewer fund.
Right. Well, and this is essentially, I think last year was our first year we actually ever had a capital reserves in stormwater. So, yeah, I think we're headed in the right direction. Any other directors have any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Director Tucky.
Yeah. I'd like to see from 2018 on up instead of 2022.
Okay.
To give us more of a idea of why we ended up in the position we were in.
On that one chart you're talking about.
Well, when it first started. So what year was it, 18? I thought it was.
Oh, yeah. Because it was at the township for a couple.
I would like to,
Go back further.
I would
to
like
that one
to,
graph.
well, I'd like to, from the beginning on, so we can really see what has happened with the funds and to see where we need to improve.
Yep. Yeah, we can add that to the graph.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
I
Go ahead.
have one more point.
Go ahead.
I would also like to match up the projects per year.
The capital spend.
Yes,
Yeah.
per year.
Yeah, most of it's actually not capital spend. Most of it is on equipment reimbursement fees and employee
Whatever the
reimbursement fees
expenses were.
that basically propping up the highway department for the township.
Well, I know there were quite a few projects as well, so I would just like to see whatever expenses there were compared to the 500,000 that you mentioned. To have them.
Director Conley.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Historical capital spending.
yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
And-
Thank
Ben,
you.
I mean, if that's something you do, that's great, but
Why
the
wouldn't
reason we
do
had
that?
you here was for a rate increase, so we know we didn't increase the rates in 18, 19, or 20, so if you wanna work with, Mr. Trafka and see if we have that information.
Why wouldn't we have that information?
Well, you're asking the person who came tonight for a specific reason to see if we were gonna raise our rates about a long historical thing that we have here. I mean, I'm
But
not saying
gave
he
us
doesn't have
He
it.
gave us a price point of $500,000 to not have to raise rates.
Mhm.
So what I'm asking is not unreasonable to provide me with historical data when if we were under that price point in prior years from the inception of the program. Because if you spent more money than you were actually bringing in, then you put us in a bad position in those years leading forward. And I don't think that that's unreasonable for me to ask for that historical information.
I'm not
And I'm
saying,
sure he
I'm
has
not
it.
saying it's unreasonable. Yeah, but he wouldn't have the information. We would have it here because we are the sewer authority.
Yes.
So if there was an issue in 18, the stormwater authority. I apologize.
Everything gets mixed up in this township.
Yeah, everything gets, I mean, if you're asking if we can go back to 18 to raise some rates, I think we're worried about going forward and we
No,
don't
I'm
want to
asking
raise the
if we
rates.
can go back so I can see the history behind it, and history does matter.
Any other comments, Director Tucky?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
that's exactly the same reason I was asking.
Yeah, no, I think Director Tucky just brought up an actual valid point because, when you see this growth in 24 and then 25, part of that is also a cost sharing agreement by spreading, those costs across 3 entities rather than just the one. So we brought down our expenses and that allowed us to build up more capital and then build a reserve fund. I know he's been an opponent against that since the inception of it last year, but this is a direct reflection of that actually working. Good.
The only reason I have been against it is because I'm concerned with how the funds are being taken from other entities. That was the whole reason I was against it. Thank you.
Does any other directors have any questions or comments? Thanks, Ben. Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I did not catch your name. Alexa. Yes, your turn. We're up to item 7, presentation. You're actually on here.
And I
Okay.
do not have a PowerPoint, I'm very, very sorry. I do have a couple handouts. If I may, I will come up and give you each one.
You're here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Let me just get my card out then.
And Alexa, when you get up there, if you could just introduce yourself so the public knows where you're from, and also those that are watching live.
So, all right, my name is Alexa Korber. I work for Tri-County Planning Commission. We are the staffing body for the Dauphin County Planning Commission. Gerard Duke was actually supposed to be here with me tonight. I'm bringing out his name because I think a lot of people might know him. He's the Dauphin County Planning Coordinator. So I was invited here by Kevin to talk to you guys about the Water Resource Enhancement Program, shortened to WRAP. Swatara Township is one of 11 members that currently participates. We had sent out our 2025 invoice for membership dues, which is coming out to about $2,500. That was a flat rate that every participant was going to pay this year. Kevin wanted me to make this presentation just so that you guys understood what we've actually been doing last year and what we're going to be doing in future years. So, and as my way to start that out, I actually have an answer to the question about the next cycle permit requirement for DEP. From what we have heard from them directly, they are completely switching over to volume control measures. So sediment credits, nitrogen credits, pollution reduction plans, gone. They are completely pivoting to volume control. So the reason the rep dues for this past year were so low and were so uniform was because essentially it was a planning year for us. We took that information from DEP and we were trying to figure out, okay, what do we do with this? What we sort of settled on was taking all of our member municipalities, getting what stormwater data they already have as for their systems, EMPs, any other information they have, and sort of synthesizing it together into one uniform membership GIS database. We were going to hire a consulting firm to do that so that all the data would be consistent. We came up with a schema of data for all the information that we would need. So even if we say, oh, your system's mapped so well, maybe there's a data point in there that we think we need for this volume control that isn't in there. So the consultant's going to come through and they're going to take care of that. They're going to make sure it's consistent through all membership. They're also going to go out and verify the location of all those public BMPs. They're going to look at all your stormwater plans to make sure that they're not missing anything. So that was sort of the course of action we decided on. The rep committee, of which Kevin is a member, seemed happy with that course of action. And so throughout 2025, what we did, we put together a request for proposals and sent it out there. Where we are as of now is we've got all our proposals in and we're actually going to finalize our choice 2 weeks from now, present it at the end of the year. At that point, we'll have costs. The consultant's going to tell us exactly what this is going to cost. At that point, we'll be able to finalize costs for 2026 and 2027. We come back to you guys and say, hey, this is how much it's going to be. Are you still in? If you say no, that's totally fine. There's no contract involved that's going to make you pay that money. But if you say yes, then we go ahead and go forward with it. So essentially, our plans for the next 2 years are to get that BMP database together. Once that's there sort of as our baseline, our next plan is to do impervious area assessments, go back to all the BMPs and figure out how many acres they're treating and see if there are any candidates for retrofitting. And we think between the two of those, that sort of gets us in a good place for volume control for the next permit requirements. Of course, a lot of what we do is influenced by the input of the committee. A lot of the way we do certain things is influenced by the committee. For example, when I first put this idea together for the BMP database, I said, all right, let's get a cost, we'll divide it by 11, and we'll all pay the same thing. The committee said, well, wait. Why am I paying $7,000 while I'm Royalton Borough? We've got 2 BMPs. So part of what we did was we made the consultant ratio out how much it was going to cost to do every month's work. so that we could come up with a ratio fee for the next 2 years. So things like that sort of affect what we do and how we do it. The goal is to do it fairly. The goal is to save money. So if the consultant would come and tell me, Swatara Township, it's gonna cost us 45 grand. Well, we're not just gonna say, here's a bill for 45 grand, please pay us that money. We use gaming grant money, some of it we've already awarded. We also use some of our rep pot, which came from way, way back when they did the Conowaga restoration. A bunch of people bought into that. They paid off their MS4 credits for sediment reduction, and we had a bunch of money left over. So we do have a pot where we're adding everyone's fees to, but the goal is to actually use that money to use cost reduction for our participants. So that's where we are right now. I will try to answer as many questions as I can. I might have to push some questions off to something I can't answer, but that was why I gave out my card. Yeah, so that's where I'm sorry I didn't talk quickly.
No, you did a fine job, Alexa. Any questions or comments from the directors? Go ahead, Director
So
Zuber.
since they're kind of scrapping what we've already done, what we have left from on our permit, is that going to be carried on to the next, is it going to be converted to volume? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure how deep is gonna handle stuff with the last permit.
It would just be nice if we
Yeah.
had extra that we've gone above. I thought he did. Yeah.
And
Some credits, so.
And I will tell you this, they're going to be giving out volume control credits. They're going to be giving you extra. They've already made that clear to us. I don't know how much extra or how they're gonna figure that out, but they do say that that's what they're trying to encourage.
Thank you.
Having this joint municipal, basically almost like a authority, does that qualify us for more federal and state funding to assist us as well, either on the local municipal or the group, the WREP group as a
I
whole?
would tell you, it gives you a boost for CAP money. That's the
Okay.
countywide action plan. I guess technically that's state, because that's DEP saying you had to do this.
Right.
So yeah, it does give us a boost. Basically, rep identified projects become the first pick for CAP when we have money there. I personally think it gives us a leg up in other applications. Like I've been using it to apply to growing greener. I've been using it to apply to gaming.
Right.
I guess we're gonna have to wait until the awards actually come out for me to be able to say.
Right.
But I've been trying.
Right. Yeah, puts you in a better position anyway. Any other comments or questions from the director?
I do have a question on the division of the fee. That was strictly based on the number of BMPs.
We did a weird little formula based on like 50% area and like 50%.
Okay.
The reason because you have a nice informational chart here that has population and households,
Right.
but that doesn't play into the way the fees divide.
No.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from any directors? Thanks for coming out and joining us this evening. Great information. Thanks for the packet too. We'll email you. Is there any way we can get this in electronic form so we can possibly put it on our website? Any residents that want, okay, thank you.
Those there, is that okay?
That's absolutely fine.
Feel free to have it.
Yeah, we can do that too. Appreciate you. Thank you. Have a good night. Okay, we're up to the stormwater monthly report. Tony? You can sit.
You have a
sit from
microphone
Yeah, you
there,
got a microphone
so-
there. You might just have to hit the button on the one there to make sure you're unmuted. I don't know if Brennan has you unmuted on the bottom.
Yes,
Yeah, the fancy one on the bottom.
yeah, it's
Yeah, my screen. Good evening. October activities. Staff continue to monitor and complete a Spring Creek renewal project. HRG continues to review all land development plans and do stormwater inspections. Staff performed inlet inspections and televised several pipes following residents' requests and investigation. Staff attended internal meetings on various subdivisions. Staff worked with HRG on Highland Street Pipe relocation project. The bid was awarded to R111. We are awaiting final documents from the contractor. New Street Bank Stabilization is waiting permits from DEP. Dogwood is working on final design for the project. Staff is working with HRG to finalize the documents for the stream restoration and park revitalization of Donald Taylor Park. Staff cleaned an inlet pipe on Old Dairy Street. Staff began final preparation and began leaf season on October 13th. Staff responded to 2 illicit discharges after receiving residential complaints, and staff completed inlet pipe repair on Mushroom Hill Road and Morningside Drive.
Any of the directors have any questions or comments for Tony?
Thank you.
You did good. Thank you. We'll move on to the treasurer's report. Treasurer Yazinski. Move your mic up. They're both.
This is the treasurer's report for the month ending October 31st, 2025. The operating fund begins at $165,355.16. We received $230,796.16. We dispersed $292,767.60. With a pending balance of $160,383. And the reserve fund is between balance of $1,640,897.55. We received $5,708.98. We dispersed $200,000 with a pending balance of $1,426,606.53. And this brings the total stormwater fund balance to $1,540,990.
Does any directors have any questions or comments for Treasurer Yazinski?
Thank you.
Hearing none, Solicitor Kokorisi, do you have anything?
I do not.
Any visitors' requests or comments for stormwater? Okay, moving on. Any possible stormwater violations for investigation from the public or any directors? Starting to my left, Director Tuckey, requests and comments, sir.
No comment. Thank you.
Starting to my far right, Director Zubek, any questions or comments?
No, I just want to thank the staff for continuing the good work.
Director Conley?
Yeah, appreciate both presentations tonight, and Tony, you did a great job filling in for Director Trafka. And I saw people were coming in during the meeting, so I just want to point out that one of the presentations tonight was about looking at whether or not the township should or could or would have to raise the stormwater fee. For those of you that were here, there was a slide that was up that compared 6 or 7 other surrounding municipalities, and I'm proud to say with the work of this board and previous boards, we have the lowest stormwater fee. It's $5 a month. We're hoping that that doesn't increase. The good news we got tonight is there's no reason to increase it. I'm looking out 2 years, and we expect as more development comes into the township that more money would come into the pot. So that's a remarkable thing in this day and age, to set a fee at $5 a month from a government entity that's required to set the fee. We didn't want to set the fee. We were required to do it to comply with higher level state and federal regulations. And through good management of the funds and the projects, that fee has not increased, and there's no plan to increase it in the near future. So I just want to make sure everybody was aware of that, because I know we were moving through the slides. And I'd like to thank this board, our stormwater staff, and everybody that's responsible for providing a high level of good government for the amount of money we pay. We met our requirements that we were facing in a 5-year pollutant reduction plan. For those of you that are familiar with that, our PRP is a pollutant reduction plan, and we're going into another phase of it. as, we're members here, like Member Zubek said, we should have credits because we did so well in the previous phase, and we're hoping that that benefits us moving forward. So, thank you to everybody.
Vice Chair Ellis? I don't have any comments, just a quick consensus of the board. One thing we did leave off the agenda that we forgot. We had replaced the admin assistant position. We moved Julie over to the township. Is it the consensus of this board that you're okay with go ahead and moving forward with advertising that position and then getting applications and letting HR go through them, and possibly we can get a candidate to fill that position next month?
I didn't, it's that, it's just that stormwater
Yeah.
on there, so.
Yeah.
So what is the question?
If we can backfill Julia's position, because essentially majority of her tasks are now going to be related to zoning and the township executive assistant position. So we're going to lose that administrative assistant for
Are
stormwater.
you suggesting we?
Just advertise. Yep.
hire
Mhm.
another
Yep.
person?
Just advertise to backfill her position now. The administrative assistant position, because we moved her to the township.
Well, if the position is necessary to continue to do the work and provide the assistance to our staff to be able to do their job, then yes, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, because we have a billing cycle coming up, so it is for stormwater itself. So we have your consensus, Commissioner Conley?
Is there gonna be a job
Yep.
description that we can see?
Yeah, we are just going to use her current job description.
And
Absolutely.
this is a
Yep.
stormwater.
This is a stormwater position, right?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, Commissioner Conley? You're okay with that? Director Ellis?
Yes, I just would like to know what portion will still be stormwater, as I remember, it did say stormwater, it's all three entities, stormwater, township, and building and code, so if we could get that defined, portion will still be stormwater, I would appreciate that.
Okay. Director Tucky?
I'm okay with it, but, I am concerned about the percentages that are being divided out through the different entities.
Okay.
That is actually accurate from week to week.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion? Motion. Got a motion from Director Conley. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, give your consent by saying aye. This meeting's adjourned at 7:13 PM.
And when they do the decisions, you can put those decisions at the end of each year, because I'll make a sense. Yeah.
Stormwater director, or as the. Yes. Yes, then you consider. Then all the.
Public comment part.
Bless you.
Be about the year. Okay, so I'm just not doing any of that. Okay.
So I did it. Sure.
They get rid of the zoning hearing board. They get rid of the zoning hearing board. That's what I used to do here.
I was behind all this other
That's here on Fox. No, they're.
3-4 documents. in front of me.
So I'm Robert's place. Yeah, the last time I was here, they were talking about some methadone clinic in the life.
Behind.
Oh, that was fast. Well, yeah, I wasn't there for both of them. The first one went to like midnight, the second one went to like whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, I did the same thing, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, the hearings and everything.
I didn't see it. So I thought I was.
Let me use the bathroom.
Yes. I saw.
No, I did that.
No, it's fine.
You.
Okay. No, but it makes sense. Anyway.
I was just gonna give a brief explanation.
She's fine. Yeah.
All right.
Because
Yeah,
this is a common thing. And even if it does. Yeah, let's,
But, yeah, it's going on.
yeah.
Saturday at noon.
Trying to, both mics.
I was here for when the public was so mad about
And then trying to be.
Oh my bad. Oh my God.
Ready.
Yeah, and,
It's always hot.
You'll enjoy it.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence, and Commissioner Connolly to say something.
During our moment of silence, I want to recognize a gentleman that we lost on November 4th. Mr. John Scarangella was 95 years old. He was a Navy veteran of the Korean War. He volunteered 58 years at the 40 and 8 Club in the Chambers Hill area. And I want to wrap it up by saying he's near and dear to our heart because he was a regular at our Coffee with a Cop events here in the township. So if we could just remember him during our moment of silence. Thank you.
All right, you may be seated. Secretary Savage, would you roll?
Commissioner Tuckey?
Here.
Commissioner Zuber?
Here.
Commissioner Conley?
Here.
Vice President Steele?
Here.
President Ellis?
Here.
President Martin?
First hearing that's listed on the agenda.
Thank you. We are doing this a little bit out of order, but we have a few different hearings on the agenda for tonight. We're going to get through those first. Then we'll do public comment and get back on track with the regular agenda. So first up on the list is a public hearing that is required in order to consider the request for a liquor license transfer. It's a request from one establishment within the county to another. The reason this board needs to hold a hearing is because it's coming from a different municipality. It's an inter-municipality transfer. I understand the applicant is here this evening, but I'll turn it over to Mr. Golden for a brief overview of the application.
Okay, thank you very much. So this hearing was advertised in the newspaper on October 28th and November 4th as required. The applicant is Pete's Pizza, an authentic Mexican food LLC located at 4810 Gary Street, Harrisburg. The premises from which the license is proposed to be transferred is at 1105 First Street, Harrisburg, PA 17103. And then the premises proposed to be licensed in Swatara Township is the 4810 Gary Street, Harrisburg, PA 17111. Received any comments before tonight's hearing on the matter, and I believe the applicant is present who can present the plan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Pappas. I'm an attorney at Tucker Arnsberg. I'm here representing the applicant, Pete's Pizza, authentic Mexican food. My clients also are behind me, Mariana and Marcos. You may be familiar with the restaurant. They're an existing establishment in the township. As your solicitor mentioned, purpose of an intermunicipal transfer approval is to make sure that liquor licenses in the state are doled out by county, and there's a certain number per county. And if you want to move a liquor license from one municipality in a county to another municipality in a county, you need to first get that receiving municipality's approval before you even apply to the PLC. So that's why we're here tonight, is to make sure that Swatara Township approves of an additional liquor license being moved into the municipality. The purpose of the liquor license is to supplement the existing business. It's a family restaurant. They serve pizza as well as authentic Mexican food, and that will remain, but they'll have the additional ability to serve beer, wine, and spirits with dinner. That's about as simple as it is tonight. If there are any questions, we're happy to answer those. But at this time, I'll yield my time to the superintendent.
Is there any intention to, I guess, turn this into a bar? Is just strictly, let's just have a drink while we're eating, you know, while we're enjoying a family atmosphere or something of that nature, never a bar?
That is correct.
So to
There
speak.
will be some to-go sales, but it's basically a sit-down family environment with some to-go sales.
So like our current restaurants with no bar. Okay.
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
To-go sales from a restaurant, you can only sell 2 6-packs to go, basically, is the limit that they can do at one time.
Okay. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
Well, thank you.
We need a motion to adjourn or we need to see a motion to adjourn or approve it.
If there's any public comment, you can take that as well. All right, we can close this hearing then. There is an item on the agenda later on tonight for the board's actual decision with that. I should add, if you need to, we can adjourn into executive session to deliberate on this decision. If not, we can just call for the vote when that item comes up on the agenda. If you'd like to move that to the top to at least get some of these people out of the room, you can do that and vote on this right now.
That way? Okay. So the hearing was ended at 7:23 p.m. I'm going to, I guess,
Yeah, you can do a motion to amend the agenda.
I'm going to make a motion to amend the agenda.
Second.
It's going to be following each hearing. We all have item 9A, 9B, and 9C, if that makes sense. So we'll do 9A now, once we go into the second hearing, then 9B, and then follow the third, 9C will be considered.
I make a motion, we approve this resolution. Oh, got too fast. All right. Going to get people out of the room. So. I apologize. Aye.
Aye.
Once again, I will make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Consideration of resolution for the license transfer for Pete's Pizza and Authentic Mexican Food LLC. Do we have any discussion this time? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that's going to be resolution R-2025-62. All right, now it's 7:25. We'll go into the second hearing.
Okay, hearing number 2 on the agenda for this evening is consideration of an amendment to the zoning map. This one is for tax parcel 63-062-058. Zach, which one is this, McNaughton or Navarro?
The first one is McNaughton.
Okay, believe we have McNaughton here this evening. Zach, I'll turn it over to you again for some of the preliminary matters, and then we can hear from Mr. McNaughton.
Sure. So, I'm doing an application 441 McNaughton Properties LLC to rezone Dauphin County tax parcel 63062-058, which has no address, from single family residential RS to limited commercial CL. We received the application on May 30th of this year. The board of commissioners forwarded the amendment to the county township planning commissions for review and comment on June 11th of this year. Township planning commission met on August 4th and September 2nd this year. Tri-County Planning Commission review letter was received August 4th. Staff mailed public notification to work native properties on October 20th. Newspaper advertisements were in Patriot News and Penn Live October 23rd, October 30th. Staff posted the map amendment property on October 31st. And tonight's the mandatory public hearing. Tri-County didn't provide the comments for the review memo. They did not recommend approval for the development. However, they did provide comments. They provided that review memo in the packet. The Township Planning Commission on September 2nd tabled application for the meeting on August 4th, but going for the meeting at the meeting on September 2nd, unanimously by a vote of 4-0 recommended approval of the application. Presentation, I'll hand it over to Mr.
Thank you. Thanks for having us here tonight. Good evening. My name is Joel McNaughton. I'm an attorney for the McNaughton Company and the managing partner of 441 McNaughton Properties LLC. We are the owner of a 17-acre site in the township at the northeast corner of Lindell Road, also known as State Route 441 and Keckler Road. It's our intention to develop the site in a manner that's more consistent with the past improvement and the planned use of the Route 441 corridor. Hence our application and our being here tonight seeking your approval of the extension of the CL commercial limited zoning to this site. The site is currently zoned residential RS, residential single family, which is the lowest density residential permitted within the township. It's currently a rotation crop site, so we have a farmer that puts corn and soybeans every other year or so just to keep it in active type condition. It's traversed by a power line and it's located at a signalized intersection. All of those things really make it not conducive to single-family detached dwellings, which is the way it's currently zoned. Certainly, my opinion and perhaps others, that it's not the highest and best use for 17-acre property at a signalized intersection within a mixed corridor. The 441 corridor, over the course of the last several years, several decades, has really grown into a mixed-use corridor. You have commercial limited, commercial general zoning, residential multifamily zoning. You have all types of different uses: commercial, retail, hotel, multifamily, and recently zoned significant additional portion of this area to be mixed use. It's our goal to continue at commercial limited and really to try to provide a more beneficial and more appropriate use of the 17-acre property. As Mr. Golden mentioned, we submitted this application back in May. We were at the Planning Commission in August and then in September. And in September, the Planning Commission recommended unanimous approval of this application. The county provided a review letter under date August 4th, 2025, and the county review letter generally offered some comments. I think there was a county review letter that struck me, and I'll take this right from the letter. The county does not oppose the proposed rezoning of the identified parcel from RS, single-family residential, to CL, commercial limited, as the change appears to represent a logical extension of existing development patterns along Route 441. And that, I think, sums it up better than I did in my May 30 application. You know, you have a uniquely situated property at a signalized intersection along a highway with a power line running through it. Your commercial limited ordinance says to provide for lighter types of commercial uses that will be compatible with nearby homes. So what we're talking about is perfectly logical. It's what your zoning ordinance tells you to do. It's a convenient location for convenient service, for job creation, and especially for an expanded tax base. The county comp plan identifies this area as the suburban core, and these are areas in which the county says that growth should be planned. One other document that provides some guidance on this application is the comprehensive plan. It's called Swatara Rising 2025. Your current comp plan does not have a future land use map, but it does kind of give some guidance for these planning decisions. And I thought there were two parts of your comp plan that are pertinent here tonight. And these are quotes from your one of the goals of the comp plan, quote, is to increase the ability of Swatara Township to be the premier location for people to live and for business to thrive in the Harrisburg region. There's also a section of your comp plan under economic development, and that says that a goal of the township should be, quote, to retain existing business and attract new ones, make existing commercial and retail districts more attractive. So we've got the 441 corridor. It's changed through time, and it's going to continue to change, and it's become a mixed-use corridor. We have a uniquely situated property that through this rezone will be a harmonious expansion of that corridor. It provides a beneficial use, and it provides an opportunity for business growth within Swatara Township, which is what your comp plan tells you to do. I'll be respectful of everybody that's here, and I'll kind of stop there since the application is here and in front of you, and I'm sure there's some questions, but it's for all those reasons why I think that this makes a lot of sense, and that we hope that you're in a position to approve our rezoning request. Thank you.
Can I say something? You want to go first, or do you want me to?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea of what the use of the property will be?
Sure. So I didn't want to bring sketch plans and things. This is a reason. It's, you know, anything that could be within this. But our intention is to develop this as a nursing home or a personal care / assisted living home under your zoning.
Thank you.
That's basically what I didn't know why you hadn't mentioned that, because at the planning commission, you did provide a sketch plan, how you would work with the power lines, talked about the amount of traffic. We talked about the need for such a facility in the area. And I think a lot of times that's missed when the residents get the notice that something's happening. It tends to trigger a reaction that they don't want anything to happen. So that's just the way we are. Like if something's changing, people generally are opposed to the change. So you did state that a couple times, and you went through the even to the point of traffic and the ingress and egress. And there was another thing that it's not always the most important, but you talked about the tax dollars that your project would then generate for the township, as opposed to the land in the condition that it is now. And I don't want to speak as to what made them make that unanimous decision, but I thought you presented very well, very reasonable, and you got the unanimous approval to come to this board. So I just like Commissioner Zubek said, I was just wondering why you didn't say that tonight, but that was very respectful. You didn't say it because you're you're rezoning it for whatever the purpose is, but you did have a plan.
Right, and we do, and if it's helpful, I think I can take a few seconds over that. I didn't want to, because a lot of times when we show a sketch plan, the first thing that your solicitor says is, this is a set sketch plan, it means nothing, you're gonna do a rezoning, and it can permit any potential use. We intend to do a nursing home, and we provided, I'm happy to even share these. We have two different options for the site, a kind of a minimalist use, more intensive use. The more minimal use would be a single-story, 72-bed facility at a higher care level, so very skilled care type facility, similar to a site that's existing in the central Pennsylvania area over in, I guess that would be Lower Paxton Township off of Lingletown Road, called Columbia Cottage. This would be very similar to that. So if you've seen that before, it looks like very attractive building. It's one story. It has all self-contained corridors so that the folks that are in there that are in like memory care type needs can't get out, can't go anywhere, but can still get outside. By way of example, that 72-bed facility does have an assessed value within the county of just over $8.25 million, which would be tax revenue to the county, township, and the school in excess of $250,000 a year. A facility like that would be about half of the traffic daily as compared to a similarly situated single-family detached community that we could put on there today. So you put some houses on there today, that's some traffic number, that's what you're allowed to do. If you did this 72-bed skilled care facility, it would be about half of that traffic daily. A more intensive use would be sort of a combination facility, so from almost independent care up to skilled care. This would be a 3-story facility, be 187 beds approximately in a larger facility. It's when you start to get into some big bucks. Estimated assessed value of that property would be about $25 million. Total tax revenue then to the township, county, and school annually is about $810,000. The 187-bed facility would be about 1-to-1 equal traffic as compared to a single-family detached community that you could build on that site today. So that's kind of the overview that we provided at the Planning Commission, and I think helpful since those questions came up tonight.
Thank you.
I just want to point out too, the use that we're talking about, potential proposed use, that was something that's still potentially going there with the current zoning by special exception. Just so this is still something that could have potentially
My name is Jane Hoover. I live at 5011 Lilac Lane for the past 40 years. One of the reasons why we are opposed to this zoning change is that a developer may build any type of structure that complies with the new zoning classification, regardless of what the developer promised or proposed to the township officials. The developer can also sell the land undeveloped to another developer as soon as zoning is approved. The new owner is not bound by the prior promises or statements of the seller. This is like deja vu to me because over 20 years ago, we came before the board to oppose changing it to the commercial limited from the residential. I'm very sorry that Mr. McNaughton could not see fit to build houses in this state. There are many uses as to the power lines, but what we were really concerned about was the traffic. There would be no in or out on 441 or Keckler Road. It would all have to come out into our development on MacArthur Drive. And at that point, he was proposing an office building that would employ over 1,200 employees. And this does not include, for the nursing home, the daily business and personal visitors, servicing companies to maintain the building and provide the services to the tenants or who bring supplies and equipment. This will create excessive traffic problems, which will affect the safety of township residents and the moving public. It will also further deteriorate our roads, which I might add, in the 48 years I've lived there, my road has never been repaved. They are already in extremely poor condition and strained. And as you know, the Aspen Hill apartments, which we didn't really ask for back in the 60s and that we were told would be more housing, they sold out to a developer who made 324 units back there. And I'm sure the police can attest to this, that we have 3 stop signs coming in and out of that apartment. And they probably could make wages on the people that go through those stop signs. In the immediate area, I know there are so many open office buildings, vacant office buildings. They're even going to be building them over there where East Mall used to be. So I'm wondering why, at this point in time, he's coming with this new proposal to change it to commercial limited. We like our neighborhood, and to us, our homes are not just dwellings or buildings. Our homes represent who we are and reflect our American dream of home ownership and the pursuit of happiness. We are individuals of modest means who worked hard for our homes and continue to do. We are proud of our accomplishments and our community. We will resist all efforts or attempts to change the current residential zoning or any other class, regardless of the proposal submitted. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lisa Snyder and I live in 40 Hawker Drive. I just wanted to come up here and talk for a minute. With the proposal of the warehouse going in my backyard, I'm asking the board tonight, like, what is the plan for our neighborhood? I feel like, Shelley, you brought up an excellent point that he could do this proposal with a special exception. So why is he not going that way? We really have to protect the land that we have left here in Swatara Township. I feel like that is huge because people are coming in, they're changing the zoning, and then they're building what they want to build. And a prime example of that is this project on our boulevard, where they came in and said, hey, it's going to be a store in the front, places to store your stuff in the back. And it's a completely different plan now. I'm not opposed necessarily to a nursing home, but the lady that was up here, I just want to piggyback off of her. She had some excellent points, and we need to make sure that the zoning is not going to be changed, and there's going to be something in there that we don't want to go in there. Again, potentially what they would come back later and want to build could change the characteristics of our neighborhood. We don't have a lot of left here in Chambersville, and I'm just asking you to consider the special exception and say no. The zoning change is not the way to get because we have to protect the land that we have. I just want to point out too that McNaughton, they were gifted this property in 2001 for $1, and they have been paying $260 a year in taxes. So anything they put in there is going to be a tax improvement, and I don't want money to talk here. Thank you.
Hi, Matthew Allen, 900 Dennis Circle. I just want to reiterate what she said. If there was these truly altruistic intentions to build this nursing home, why isn't the special exception being used instead of going through this zoning process to potentially introduce neighborhood here?
Comments at this time?
Manager, 860 MacArthur Drive. Good evening, commissioners. I just have a few comments because I was here with Colleen and a number of residents that have since passed the neighborhood that are widowed or left behind that would have been here tonight too with Colleen and the rest of us in the neighborhood. About 15, 20 years ago, we had probably about 200 people here, if not more, Colleen. We created a small township committee called Swatara Township for residential zoning. We went to a lot of different meetings over the summer. We didn't get a chance to do that this time, but I just want to ask that you look back to 15, 20 years ago when the land was, when it was zoned agricultural. We stood here, the number of residents, unfortunately, and asked the commissioners to please deny the zoning request to be changed. And unfortunately, it was changed from agriculture to the current single family that it is. At that time, a plan was proposed to the commissioners, again, and the solicitor said that this doesn't matter. The builder can do whatever they want with the land. Nothing has happened. We were delighted to see that it was single family homes that would be built in that plot. Got to kind of calm the neighbors a little bit that the commissioners went in the route that was against the neighbors. So I'd love for you to take a look at that plan, because at that time, the traffic light wasn't an issue. The signals, the power lines, none of those were issues at that time. But now 20 years later, they're issues for single family homes. I don't understand that. I'd ask the commissioners before you make a decision to take a look at those past plans that were presented for building and have been abated for whatever reason. Colleen mentioned about the traffic in the neighborhood. We do have a mixture of elderly and young children in the neighborhood with the apartments. And as she said, if you guys want to come see our traffic in the neighborhood, I welcome you to sit on Arthur Drive and see what happens there. We got a lot of walkers, a lot of pets, a lot of dogs. With the egress from the property, it would kind of destroy the neighborhood vibe that we have there. I do want to say that we are a community of, we want development, we want good development. We also want to preserve our first-class status as a township. And with 2 million, what is it, red zone shows 2 million square feet of available commercial office space available to be developed, reused, or rebuilt in the township right now. I don't know if this is the best time to approve more. So thank you for your time, commissioners.
Do we have any other comments at this time?
there's nothing else for this hearing, then we can close the hearing and the board can consider the motion or the resolution rather.
So moved.
I do have some discussion. 15 years ago, the proposal was exactly what we heard. Office. This is not office, so I heard it sound like two people arguing against that. If you remember, I was one of the original people that was concerned about that. And the reason for that was at the time we had a massive AMP complex that wasn't occupied. And we had a lot of office space that was available. And for the reasons that I heard tonight, I still feel the same way, that at that time, that was not a good use. The traffic numbers that Mr. McNaughton gave at the Planning Commission, and I'm assuming were the same ones they gave tonight, included all the traffic in and out of this facility. This isn't a place where the resident, for the most part, leaves. So it did include deliveries and staff at certain times during the day. There could be shift changes. So that was already discussed by the public. I don't know if the same people here tonight were at the Planning Commission. The meetings were downstairs and I was at the front, so I don't really know who was behind me. But it was pretty well discussed and the numbers were there. 15 years later, I know what you're saying about residential, but you got a Chick-fil-A and a Sheetz and a lot of traffic in and out of there, and you still have the power lines. WITF, I think, was a great neighbor, but it certainly changed the area. And I feel like regardless of how Mr. McNaughton got the property, he had it and he kept it in that condition for 20 years. It's been my experience that when new neighborhoods come in, we hear the same things that we heard tonight. People don't stop at the stop signs, they make noise, they drive too fast. So I almost feel like the argument against this facility is based on something that it's not proposed to be. And I don't know that it eliminates the same quality of life issues just because you have houses on 17 acres. And it's also been my experience, and this isn't specific to the McNaughton Company, but when developers put homes on land, they tend to try to put as many as they can for the profits. Then I mean, it makes sense because that's, it's an expensive venture. But for the same reasons that I thought the 1,200 vehicle per day office space wasn't a good idea, I'm not opposed to a nursing home facility or a care facility, something that's truly needed and would benefit the community. That's all I have. Thank you.
And by way of discussion, I also share with the public that I don't remember how long it was. I want to say it was April range. This board met with the school district for like an information session, and their request was to attempt to limit residential development as best we could. Obviously, we can't completely. And the reasoning for that is because our schools are already overcrowded, and the more homes that are built, the more students there are, and ultimately it will lead to tax increases with regard to the school tax. So just want everyone to keep that in mind, that with the types of potential development asking, we could potentially ask for higher taxes as well. And if you compare the two, I appreciate the number that Zach and Tri-County Planning put together. is still permitted here. So it doesn't completely change that. It just takes away some of the, but it flip flops some of them out. So everyone apartments are not permitted either way. So there wouldn't be high density homes regardless of this change. So I think that, it's sad to say, I think that's probably something that is a good thing for the township, again, with regard if we're talking about dollars and cents of taxes that we would be responsible for. So that's all I have. Does anyone have anything else at this time?
Yeah, I'm actually kind of struggling here because I can see both sides of the argument. It gives me pause to know that I'm supportive of the idea and the concept of some senior living facilities in our township because I know we don't have a lot of that. And I really would like to see that, but I do also know that a zoning change is taking a risk in that you don't have the guarantee that facility is going to be placed there. But nonetheless, I also think that it's probably a better choice than having a significant number of residential homes. Either way, there's going to be buildings on that property. So I'm kind of torn here, but I do appreciate the arguments on both sides from everyone. I think that I think that the traffic is not much of a concern for me, but I do want to point out that I'm a little different from President Ellis on this, just because I don't think that my decision would never be based just strictly on, like, if the school district came and said, we don't want any more growth in your township because we don't want to budget properly. I mean, I actually think that people should just budget properly. But in any case, I do understand both arguments. I am willing to go more toward the side of more of a senior living facility. Hopefully it's something that can get done. I'm not sure why it's not being done for special exception, with a special exception. But this is the route, but I hope whatever the developer does, the developer continues to move in that direction, and it's not something that's going to change as other plans have. So thank you.
Yeah. When it comes to all these decisions throughout the period of time being up here, I feel for everyone that spoke. Last thing I want to do is be responsible to mess up your neighborhood in any way. I do want the betterment for the total community. If I may ask, Mr. McNaughton, what's the traffic flow for the nursing facility you're looking at putting in? Because I was not at the last planning commission meeting when this went forward, and because I was in another meeting at the time.
So the more minimal facility, 72-bed facility, about generally traffic AM and PM peak hours. So your AM peak hour for this facility would be about 14 trips, and your PM peak hour would be about 24 trips, 200 to 220 total trips a day in a 24-hour period.
That's, well, of course, the majority of people there are staying there, but so that's factoring like only 200 some employees at that facility on a 24-hour basis, roughly.
Yeah, so these traffic counts come from a traffic manual, nationally based, and has all sorts of traffic uses constantly updated. So it's a nationally accepted type publication, and they study all types of facilities, and they tell you that on average these are the types of traffic that would be.
Okay, and were you involved 20 years ago when this was all brought forward? I wouldn't think so, but maybe I'm wrong.
20 years ago, when was that?
15?
2005.
Yeah, I don't know.
What were you, 15?
No. I
20?
wasn't.
20?
It could have been 2005. I think it was the early 2000s, 2001, 2002, perhaps, when this proposal, and I was still in college.
Okay. My question is, at that time, the traffic flow was projected to go into their neighborhood instead of going out on the main route?
I can't speak to that. I'm not sure.
State road, eh?
In our sketch plans, we have a connection to Keckler Road, so not to the community to the back side, to north.
So your plan is not to go into that neighborhood at all?
There's some limitations there, physical limitations with grade and other things, but we have a road out to Keckler Road.
And I know once this gets changed, it's changed no matter what, but for, you are not planning on selling the ground. You are planning on putting this as a nursing home.
I mean, as much as I can stand here and tell you that's our intention. We own the property. The property wasn't to us. We bought the property back in 2001. That's how the tax records show up when they're old. We've owned this property for a long time. We have a desire to put a nursing facility on the site, and that's our plan.
And is there a reason why you didn't go with a special exception?
I mean, mostly because that takes the decision power out of the hands of the township and the planning commission and places it over with the zoning board. And I think that smart planning, especially when you have a situation here with this is one small part of that entire corridor. Special exception, you're sort of laser focused on that particular piece of property, and we view this more as a regional type planning decision.
And if it would be approved and you would go to the larger facility, what's the traffic flow looking like with that?
So for the larger facility, AM peak hour about 34 trips, PM peak hour about 45 trips, and about 386 or so trips per day. For purposes of comparison, 34 dwelling units would be 33 AM peak hour trips, 41 PM peak hour trips, and depending on if you use Rader equation, 326 to 386 trips a day. So like I said, it's a 1-to-1.
Thank you. If I may, I'm sorry, one more question. You weren't there for that time for the residential. So what would be allowed to be on this piece of property if it would be residential? How many units?
So we use 30, which is 2 units per acre. The zoning would allow down to 10,000 square foot lots, but because of the power line and the other constraints, we estimated 34 homes. That's what we use for purposes of the traffic comparison.
34 homes on that piece of ground is what you would put up if that's what it would be.
How many acres is that property then?
17.
Yeah, that's
2 per acre.
out of 17 acres. That's all you would
That's
put
big,
on that
that's
piece
it.
of ground.
You got the power line, that's probably 3-4 acres of it. You got some slope on the eastern, sort of northeastern side. We'd like to do more.
Well, normally I'm used to hearing that piece of ground, and I know there's some things to work around, but I'm normally used to hearing a lot more than 34 homes.
A flat 17 acres without a power line in the certainly, 3, 4, 5 units to the acre, single family, townhomes, 6, 8, 10, apartments, 8, 10, 12. So it kind of goes in that.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's just one of those decisions where there's multiple impacts that you have to weigh out economically, infrastructure, public safety, and you have to decide which one provides better value for the future for the residents. And sometimes that's a tough decision that you have to make as elected officials. I'm sort of with some of my other colleagues too, where you're different and tossed to and fro, knowing the fact that our public service is taxed, whether it be our police, fire, EMS, our school districts. Do you bring something here with economic value that will not tax those resources even more? But then you have to take into consideration, what is it that the residents want as well? And that's where it becomes sometimes a tough decision, but you have to make a decision as an elected official. What will best benefit the township and the residents in the future? What goes on a piece of property and what happens? I'm going to speak somewhat to the case in point of my personal feelings as it relates to people's property and their ability to do what is allowed within the confines of the law. I've always been an official that it is not my position, nor will I use the authority that's been granted to me by the citizens of Swatara Township to tell someone what to do with their property within the legal confines of the law. I think that's a fair and free United States that we live in. I'm not the neighbor that lives in Chambers Hill, and just because I don't like something beside me that I'm going to tell you what to do with your property. I've always been that way, and I will remain that way as long as you do what's necessary within the parameters of the law. I think that's how we should govern, and that's how, even if you're not an elected official, that's how you should look at it. And sometimes that's tough because, Swatara Township, and I have a rich history here, and I've grown here. My family's been here for over 200 years, but I do remember a lot of rural area. And, part of it, Swatara Township is now a suburban, almost city area. That's the reality of it now. And it has nothing to do with, because the elected officials want it that way. We have just seen that much growth in central Pennsylvania, and it's almost called for it. And it's how do we minimize the largest impact of an influx of residential that, again, back to the genesis of the beginning of this conversation, that will impact us as a whole, as residents and taxpayers. Because ultimately, the costs continue to go up. If we see an influx of residential neighborhoods, we're going to have to hire more police officers. We're going to have a larger EMS force, larger fire force. All these things just exacerbate as time goes on. So I just wanted to state that on the record, that's all.
With regard to the use that is currently used for crop farming, that is still something that is within forestry, is still permitted, nature preserve or environment species preserve, but it is the minimum. So with regard to concerns of those types of things being lost, there still is a portion of that that will be retained. So speak to commissioners or residents feels like too. Obviously, it's very difficult to predict, what the best decisions are. It's something that I don't think any of us take lightly. We all do what's best for the residents. And sometimes that requires difficult decisions. So I just want to throw that out there too. This is something that is easy to do. If I have a crystal ball and can see into the future, that would make things easier.
If I may, I believe 2 residents would like to say something yet. If you. We have our own comments.
Approve this. It's already approved. approved for what he wants to build there. I don't know what the question is. And we are not debating, the solicitors are not debating over what is proposed. You guys are all talking about a nursing home and he's going to build it there. It's not going to happen, you guys. Look at the plans. The gentleman who proposed the plans 20 years ago is sitting in this audience. He probably has the plans with him for what he put in front of you and you approved 20 years ago and didn't build it. Come on, this is not personal. We want good development. We know that the land is going to be developed. Put something right there. We'll team up with Mr. Staunton. We'll rally a nursing home. That's what he wants to put there. I will rally the residents. Come here and approve, and whatever zoning we need to go to, we'll go with him and we'll go for that. You are just opening up a can. I understand tax dollars. You're prepping us for it. I got it. But I stood here. I just feel like you guys have already pre-made a decision for tax dollars. That's my opinion that you guys are prepping us to prove this. I know you haven't made any decision right now, and I don't want to take this personal, but I was lied to 20 years ago, and I feel like I'm being lied to again. But thank you guys for doing your public service to us. We appreciate you guys sitting there making tough decisions too. Thank you.
What's your name again? I wanted to speak to you. James. Every decision is based upon an economic value, whether it's anyone can say that. Any house that is built, any commercial, let me finish talking.
Please don't speak for me.
I know, let me finish talking, please. Any house, whether it's a multi-residential, single-family dwelling, whether it's a bodega store, whether it's a shopping mall, it has an economic value to it, James. That doesn't play into consideration whether or not we want $1 million house here or a $100,000 house here. We don't make those decisions based upon the way we zone. So that's not the factor. The factor is it plays some part, but you have to look to the future is what is it going to do if it becomes a multi-residential neighborhood or a single-family dwelling, right? What's that do to the school at Chambers Hill? What's that do to Swatara Junior High? What's that do to East High? What does it do to our police force where we only have currently right now, I think 49 officers? What takes place next? It's the same thing that's going on at the lower end of Chambers Hill as well. What happens is if a residential community would have to go in there? There is a lot of impact, and I'm not trying to sell you on the idea of the decision has to be made. I was just trying to say to you, it is a tough decision. How do you weigh that out and balance that out based upon what you came up here and said, James, and what the young lady over here said? That's the tough part.
I want to be respectful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you were.
Everyone has a point of view. So I'm sitting back there. I'm like, this isn't personal. Like we know it's going to develop, guys. Like it is. Development is inevitable. But if the owner wants to build something that's already predetermined that they can build it on the land with an well, not predetermined, but it is permissible under a zoning acceptance, right? Got it. So if that's what he's saying, let's build, then let's go that route. Let's give him an opportunity to. He can reapply in a few months to, if he doesn't want to build that or don't go through, a couple months down the line, he can reapply and go for, it's just the unknown, guys. We're living the unknown right now. 20 years ago, again, we've had dozens of neighbors that passed away that would have been here, and they were sold on a small housing development that would have an egress into our neighborhood. Fine, great. We all kind of sucked it up. We're waiting for those homes to be built 20 years later. It's not built. They changed that from agricultural, which reduced I can't remember the percentage. This is why I'm asking you. If you guys have to make a vote tonight, you have to make a vote tonight. But if you were able to table it and go look at how much agricultural land we've lost, again, looking at the future, that was in order for us to stay a township of the first class, if we still are, I believe we are, you have to have a minimum of all different zones. And we lost 17 acres or whatever it was back 20 years ago. There's not much more to lose, guys. There's plenty of open commercial development to put houses and nursing homes and everything. Again, I respect you guys. We're for development. We're not voting on a nursing home guys right now. Everyone mentioned nursing home. It's not happening. Not happening. Thank you. With respect.
Thank you, James.
Just for we're not putting this up for comment right now.
Oh. No, this decision's a lifetime. I'm just asking.
The time to have the hearing, I'm trying to keep order for the meeting. Again, not easy to run these. So we're going to get back on track. commissioners have any further comments at this time?
I,
Go ahead. Yep.
I, all due respect, I understand what you're saying. I'm not trying to be out of line, but we have two more residents that just like to add something. I'm just requesting that that happens, please.
What I'll do is take this to the board.
Thank you very much.
We know how that vote's gonna go, but I think they could speak if they would like to add more to the conversation.
If it's something new, I mean, if you're opposed to it and you're gonna repeat that you're opposed to it, and you're going to say the special exception, I mean, this man's the property owner, and he has decisions to make. To take a chance that he'd have to go through more, red tape, we wouldn't do that to you. If you had a set process to get something done, we wouldn't add to it and then put more requirements. So I'm not opposed to somebody coming up if they have something to offer that is new or different. But I feel like we're just going to have people who are set in their ways saying the same thing. So I mean, I will defer. But
I'm fine with public comment.
okay.
Just gonna ask that everyone actually keep to the 3 minutes or less. Again, we have another hearing that we have to get to.
I'm Jim Pugh, I live at 5057 I think. My question is, I think years ago, what is going to be done with the sewage? Because they were talking about, that's all septic down there. And years ago, I was over here, they were talking about maybe running a sewer line through the neighborhood, and then maybe we would have to attach to it, so forth, at the cost, I think it was $3,000. So how is that going to be handled? The
So
sewage part of it.
I'll get rid of that misconception of, because I'm the chairman of the sewer authority. And I think the current board that I have, that when I say what I'm about to say, I think they'll stick with it. And since I've been the chairman of the sewer board and the board that is currently there now, you can guarantee that if a sewer line does come through there, you will not have to connect into it. Okay, our planning process has been to stagger that line so you would not be mandated to connect into that sewer line.
The law states 100 feet. It has to be 100 feet from the.
150?
Maybe it's 150.
It actually depends based upon the districts and the way the race rules and regulations are set. It is true. It's based upon the districts and the way the districts are.
But as of now, you don't know what it's going to be, if it's going to be sewer or septic.
It's going to be sewer, but you're not going to be mandated to hook up.
Is it going to run through the neighborhood?
It's going to run through a portion of the whole backside of Chambersville.
Roads and so forth in the neighborhood. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, that's all part of laying infrastructure regardless.
Hey, you're
That
tearing
plan.
up, you're tearing up our neighborhood. I lived there since 1982. You're tearing up our neighborhood. You're tearing up the roads and all. And eventually, I'm going to say, hey, you're going to have to hook to that sewer line. And I don't agree with that. I just totally disagree with that.
I can just reaffirm for you again that there's already a plan in place that's been in place for some considerable time before I even got on the board where that sewer line is going to go, and it has no hookup.
But we know how it's going to run in the neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, if it has to come through your property, there'll be contacts made to you, but even the route that it has to take currently, right now in the planning process, it does not mandate one Swatara Township resident to hook up the sewer that doesn't have sewer currently, sir. Those protections are in place. That was a great question.
And I just want to say that was a topic that was at the planning commission at 2 meetings. So other people had the same question. So appreciate you bringing it up tonight for people that didn't hear the answers there.
Again, do any commissioners have anything else this time? And I'll open it up. If there's anyone that wants to say something new to add to the discussion that's been taking place, now is the time to do so. The Secretary of Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Tucker,
No. No. No.
Commissioner Seaback,
Yes.
Commissioner Conley,
Yes.
Vice President Seal,
Yes.
President Owens.
That's 4 to 1. It's gonna be ordinance O-2026. Again, that was 98. So now the time is 8:21. Go into third and final hearing.
Number again.
8:22 actually, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to Solicitor Copeland.
Thank you. We have another request for a zoning map amendment, and I'll just kick it right to Mr. Golden for the overview.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a zoning map amendment application from Prestige LLC and 900 Heckler Road LP to rezone Dauphin County tax parcels 63-062-062, which has no address, 63-062-15, which I'll refer to as 5150 Linville Road, and tax parcel 63-062-1, referred to as 5100. The applicant is seeking to change the zone classification of 63-062-062 from agriculture to medium-density residential. 5150 Linville Road from agricultural to limited commercial, and 5100 Linville Road agricultural to limited commercial. The applicant submitted the application May 30th of this year. The board of commissioners forwarded the amendment to the county and township planning commission for review on June 11th. Township planning commission met on August 4th, September 2nd. Tri-County Regional Planning Commission review letter was received on August 4th. Staff mailed public hearing notification letters to 24 property neighboring properties on October 20th. We placed newspaper advertisements in the Patriot News and Live for the public hearing on October 23rd and October 30th. We posted the properties, non-conventional properties, inventory notices on October 31st, and then now we're holding hearing. As I mentioned, Tri-County provided a memo. They did not recommend approval or denial, however, they provided comments. Please see review memo that was included with staff memo. Very, very minor comments. The Township Planning Commission, they met on August 4th. They tabled the application, and then on September 2nd, they voted unanimously 4-0 to recommend approval of the application. I'll turn my comments over to the applicant.
Mr. Golden, appreciate it. Commissioners, thank you for your time tonight. My name is Sean Delaney with Steve Woodley, appearing on behalf of the applicant. Also with me is Mr. Navarro, the owner and engineer for the project. As you talked about in the last application, rezoning, sketch plans really don't matter, but we would actually like to start out by sharing the sketch plan and showing Navarro's vision for the property, and then talk about the need for the specific requests for the rezoning. So if you were saying what the property is, and this property is immediately adjacent to the property we were talking about in the last hearing.
Paul Navarro and Ryan, so the property owner, for 5150 Road and 900 Heckler.
Oh, you're gonna have to stay close to the mic. Yeah. There you go.
Have one somewhere. But, yeah, so, some time ago, we actually purchased the middle at the end of Stacy Drive, 12 acres. And adjacent to is now Aspen Hill Apartments. And at the time, there was a plan moving through the sewer authority, the township, for extending sanitary sewer service to Chambers Hill, also affectionately known as the Southeast Drainage Basin. I was the engineer for the sewer authority at the time. So the property was zoned for multifamily single. Right now, I'm going to refer to the exhibit just to show you the actual locations. This property right here. So it is about apartments and also about the Reynolds Farm, which you're all familiar with, which is owned by the McNaughton Company. So as Joel very articulately described, the corridor is now populated by all types of businesses, restaurants, etc., and more come with the mixed-use rezoning across the street. We would like to extend the RM zoning to what was known as the Anacar Farm, because that will actually provide a traffic route to 441 rather than Stacy Drive. So that is one of the purposes, and it can be illustrated in the sketch plan that is a much more safe and conducive traffic pathway for multifamily residential. The farm, which is 5150 Lincoln Road, is just an extension of the commercial corridor of 441. And I'm going to pull the sketch back. Yeah. We've been working on the farm, which was the Hoffman Farm, basically reconstructing some old barns, repurposing them. We've had quite a few family events, 2 weddings. My niece, my son Marcos here, he was married a few years ago in September. And we'd like to open that up to the public. So we want to preserve most of it. Most of it is silly. It has a pond on it, which is a very scenic kind of property for the enjoyment of the folks. We have a lot of requests for weddings and other types of events. And that is the purpose of the primary use front of that property. The rest of it, you can see, it's some more of the apartment buildings. We have a single-family plan primarily for the car farm, which abuts the neighborhood of Crest over in Chambers Hill. It is not connected to Crest because of the streams that run alongside the easternmost part of the property. So basically, this is what we intend to do with the new zoning.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. So there's 2 components to this request. The property to the rear is already in the zone, and then the property in the front is in the agricultural zone. Mr. Navarro's vision for frontage is to have an event space that really is tied to a vineyard. So the frontage of the property, and actually going into the property to the back, the idea is to have a vineyard. And then there'll be a central building, which is where you could have events, and that's where wine sales would be. That to me is an agricultural use. So the problem is, in order to have the event center and the actual commercial component of the vineyard, it has to be in the commercial district. So we're proposing an agricultural use part of it has to be in the commercial limited district, which is why we've asked that the front property be put into that district. As far as the property in the middle that's currently agricultural, pressing to RM, the idea is to have an extension of the existing RM zoning, which is on the property, that comes towards the CL portion, and then that gives you ways of ingress and egress to Lindell Road. So that's the vision for the development. Again, as you discussed during the last hearing, it's just a sketch plan. We're not obligated to build that, but that's what Mr. Navarro wants to do, and this is a legacy project for him. about the sewage and the prior application, that would obviously have to be addressed with this as well. This isn't something that could be done with on-lot systems. So it'd have to be an extension of the sewer system and improvement to the infrastructure.
Will there be any entrance out the back way to Stacy Drive on this at all? Like, will that, I guess that multi-residential will be able to come through, I guess, what you were saying there, your development come out on the 441.
By ordinance, we would have to provide a second means of ingress and egress, yes.
Okay, so, okay.
I do have a question on that. So people would be able to come out Lindell Road to go into what's now, is it Aspen Hills?
Right.
It,
That's what I was at.
so in theory, you'd be taking traffic out of the direction of Keckler if people so choose. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, there would be, traffic would be split in
Yeah.
both directions. So the main corridor would be the primary access to 441. But there would be, emergency vehicles or other traffic that could come to Stacy Drive. Signal eventually.
But when the traffic came off of 441 and it went towards that RM where the apartments are, that's where it would come in, where the apartments are. If you hold it up, I might be able to
see it, man.
Yeah, I want to see where you're. Okay.
So that's the back end, they could wrap
Yeah,
down
so it's
through.
it's on the back side. It's not. So basically, that would be providing relief to the established neighborhood that has single-family homes. Yeah, okay, that's right. I thought, when I saw it on the color map with the districts, I wasn't sure with the zoning districts, but yeah, that makes more sense there. And there's, I'm not sure that you have to know this, but somebody I thought said, is there 324 apartments in Aspen? Was it that high? Okay. Okay, thank you.
So how much more traffic would be added with this project? Have we broken it down similar to the prior applicant?
Can I add to your question real quick? What? Just to add to Commissioner Zubek's question, I guess in the traffic study, is there any way to project that traffic also dumping into Lower Swatara? Because that's a quicker route to get on the highway too, for the traffic numbers between either jumping on 283 on our side or jumping on 283 their side.
There would be traffic counts, there would be a traffic impact study, since we're talking about a PennDOT road, 441, which would look at all sorts of different routes, alternatives. We may be asked to look at a number of intersections for timing changes, sorts of things. I think that's part of the land development plan.
Okay. Appreciate you.
There would be a logical split based on a number of people. You're gonna have traffic patterns that are governed by that.
Thank you.
Okay, I just was curious, how many homes and how many apartments? Is this considered apartments on the back end or no?
Ready for Mike.
36 single-family homes, 70 townhomes, 24 urban row houses, smaller townhomes, just to be more affordable, and then apartments is a total of 204 in the sketch. Whether that is the ultimate yield, it's going to depend on a number of factors, environmental factors, all that.
Okay, sir. So I apologize. I didn't have my mic set right. I apologize. I didn't hear everything. So if you don't mind, 34 single homes. Okay.
And again, this is the sketch plan. 36 single-family homes, 24 townhomes, 66 urban row houses, and 204 apartments.
And what's the size of the lot, please? Total.
The total acreage is 72 acres.
Thank you.
So if I'm not mistaken, President Ellis, this would not satisfy the concerns of the school district based on your comments.
Yeah, and the apartments are proposed in the area that's already zoned for that use, so it's actually not part of the application.
You said 72 acres total?
Megan O'Neill, 5070 Westford. My only comment on this plan is why the residential single family wouldn't be subdivided so that the use can be changed. I know that there's existing multi-family spaces near the 14A Club and by Garden. I think that in order to do something, change the use like this, that the single family section should be separated off so that it does not change down the road. That's all.
Five oh five seven lot at Lane. Now earlier you stated about the other gentleman building residential put the stress on the schools. Now this gentleman proposed how many units down there, and that's gonna put a stress on the schools. So you actually, you know, he said you didn't want residential or about the residential on the corner. Now he's telling you he took all these units down there. Is that the same thing if you want to put the stress on the school again, right?
Yes.
So what's that's what I'm trying to say. You're saying you wanted to change this so he could do what he wants to do, but now this gentleman's saying he wants to do residential and row home. So, but what I'm saying is you said you wanted to change him so he could do his commercial stuff, but yet you turn around saying, might say, okay, to this gentleman's putting snow. What's that? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is earlier you said about the strain on the school and kids. So how many property going to bring it on? So to me, you're contradicting yourself. My opinion.
We developed today, so we don't have any say right now. That's not what I'm talking about.
That's not what I'm arguing. What I'm saying is you said earlier about putting the pressure on the school.
Yeah.
But now you're turn around and maybe let this guy develop now. What is,
I can't tell him he can't develop that way.
I understand. What I'm saying is you said earlier.
Yes, I know that, and I stand by that.
Okay. But that, if he builds them properties, that's the same thing. It's going to put strain on your back.
Talking about isn't the that we're talking about changing. That portion plan could go forward right now to our planning commission and it's permitted. So you have some say with regards to the land development. That portion is not the part that we're talking about in this hearing. So, I mean, it is a concern, absolutely. I don't, I'm not gonna change that. And that's something
But my personal opinion, I think you're contradicting yourself. Saying no to one, and then you're putting all these in.
Not sure how, again, with regard to the area that he's talking about, it is currently zoned that way. That's not what we're talking about changing. So the change wouldn't matter for that. He can build that right now. So it's not a contradiction because again, it is still a concern. It absolutely is. I've said that numerous times.
Right. Right.
That doesn't change. So again, that is something that it's a permitted use. It's something that he could build. Again, he could submit a plan tomorrow.
Right.
That's something that we would have to work with the school district to try to figure out the best way and alert them, let them know that that's coming. So that's it is.
Ms. Stuckey.
I think it was my turn. I had asked her if I could go next. Now you're calling on Mr. Tuckett, so, because I wanted to answer you. Okay.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
No, I just want to say, I agree with everything you're saying here, but you're talking two parcels that are connected, 90 acres total. One of them, a 17, almost 18 acre property, will have 0 homes. So we're complying with the school district. The other one, if you're looking at potentially 10 per acre, that's not what Mr. Navarro is doing. He's trying to spread out the property. So compare this to what we heard, 324 units. Does anybody know the acreage of Aspen Hills? Oh, you have, but you see my point. So what if we're not having this conversation tonight, and on that same land we were looking at 3 of the other complexes? Now you've exceeded 900 homes. So I think you're right in the fact that we want to limit the amount of residential, and the president of the board is right on the fact that she wants to limit the residential, and the two plans that are before us tonight are limiting the residential. And I agree with what you say, just down the road, what if it's not these two landowners who have held this land for years and didn't put something in? But what if it was the same person? I'm not saying they were wrong or bad, but what if it was the same developer that had the apartment complex that the neighbors seem to have an issue with? This one is actually providing relief out of that apartment complex in another direction. Whereas what we heard from the residents is everybody in the 324 acres now is going through their single family home neighborhood. So I get a lot of what you're saying, but it seems like we're saying like any home, shouldn't be added. We agree with that. And we, I think for the school district, 300 homes, when I added it up, Paul, Mr. Mayor, if I had that right, I think it was 300 for his. 72 acres is a pretty sizable area. We have some apartment complexes in the township that actually are on the size of the 17 acres that have 204, they have more units in there. So we're not going to eliminate residential. We're trying to control it and keep the schools from becoming overcrowded. And the history of we heard Jamie, the history of the township and if it was 20 years, I don't remember, but a lot more developments have come in. And I'll give you a perfect example. If you're familiar with Ivy Ridge and Chambers Knoll, there were no homes, just say 0 homes. And look how that was developed. It started off with spread out single family residential, then it went to townhomes, then it went to apartments, then it went to higher density townhomes. So you took a piece of land that maybe rivals theirs in size, and you put, if you add up all of those, you put 500 or 600 units on it. So I get what you're saying. And like to say that we're contradicting saying that we're trying to limit homes by allowing homes to go in that are less dense than other homes, we're actually agreeing with you on that. So I just wanted to be clear that these two plans, like we're not here tonight looking at, I don't want to single out the apartment complexes because people live there, but there are apartment complexes that ended up on a wooded area of the township or a farm that added the 324, the 204s, the 225s, where there was nothing. So, you know, I'm not looking to develop. I like trees and farms and deer. That's why I moved to Swatara Township. I'm very fortunate. I have a 2-acre piece of property. But over time, townhomes were built next to me, and I have 16 neighbors, where if that wasn't there, I wouldn't have had, you know, it could have been a single family home. So I think we're all trying to balance this. The easiest thing would be to say, we don't want anything new. We'll lose in court. The property owner has rights, the developer has rights, but we're not opposing you or disagreeing with you in that concept of trying to limit good development. And again, I'm not going to go back and say the other ones are bad now. They're our neighbors. They live here. They're not going away. But we could really stress all of our services, police, taxes, water, sewer, and everything else, if we don't try to look for options that are less intense than some other ones. So, and I'm sorry, but and if I took Mike's spot, I had asked if I could go next while you were up there, so. Yes, what was the acre question?
If you don't mind.
Just so you can say. Thank you. I mean, we're answering your question, so.
Aspen Hill Apartments is 5.5, 324 is 58 units per acre. We're proposing 3.5 units to the acre. 3.5 compared with 58 that are already there. Just the order of magnitude of how. Pardon me?
Yeah, I just says I was. Yes. Well, then what was the number?
24 apartments.
324. Yeah, the number came. I mean, I just was repeating it, so I don't know. But,
Hi, I'm Karen Bowman, and I'm my son's property at 59. First I want to say, I'm a big believer in property. If you're doing what's in the limits of the code, you should be allowed to. As a homeowner and a business owner, another township, I really am a firm believer on that. But I didn't see that plan, and I'd love to take a peek at it, because where my son lives, he's at the ravine where the creek is, and then you've got Big Hill. We were just curious on how close, what's going to be up there. Are you planned? And I know these could all change many times. I understand that. But is it going to be the apartments there? That's where the homes, so we want to peek. And then we also had questions about lighting. We have a nice wooded area. We'd like to keep it that way. But we understand when you have houses, you need street lights, and apartments with lighting. I know there's codes that deal with that. We were just trying to get a feel on what we encounter as this development happens. And on a secondary side note, you just should have bought my wedding venue.
I'm gonna let Neil find his house and then go from there. Take your time now. We're just.
Can I make a suggestion that when you do these like other townships and put them on the board? What's your buffer zone? I mean, it looks large.
We have the stream, so we have EP a 50-foot riparian buffer, 25 feet on each side of the stream, so we can't develop anything in here.
Yeah.
So we have the single family home coming here.
9 o'clock.
Where are you at?
I'm right here. So I believe your son's building a house right behind me.
Trying to, yeah.
On that big hill? I will say no to that. That's all we want to see.
Karen, while we're up there.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I'm good. I knew there's lighting. There's plenty of buffer there, and it's very clear. And I appreciate what he's doing, and I wish everybody that built the best. But you know, being a resident there,
Good evening. My name is William Dam, and we live at 5210 Linville Road. So we live right adjacent to where the proposed is looking to build a vineyard. Our main concern is primarily the impact to our house and that area that surrounds it. So mainly concerns would be traffic, noise, light, how long that stays open, because we've had instances, and we never really complain about it, where we'll hold events and it lasts like until 2 a.m. And I live, my room is at the edge, so I can readily hear everything whenever I open my window. And I can still hear it. So I think there's concerns to build a vineyard, especially our house and the direct land to it, as well as if they're building to the backside as well. So I guess please keep that in consideration for your decisions. Understanding that it's his property, just don't want disturbances, especially since my parents work on third, they're asleep during the day. So whatever they're doing, it's construction, anything really that's really, we don't have a sound barrier, it's just open land, there's no trees that dampen that sound at all. So request is just please keep that into consideration if you guys are looking to approve of what their plan is. Thank you.
Thank you.
James Manager, 860 MacArthur Drive. We know Paul pretty well. He's the gentleman who spoke to us 20 years ago about the plot of land that y'all just approved from agricultural. Same thing that we're doing right here. I think his idea is spectacular for that piece of land. I would ask one question though. Does the additional loss of agricultural land, square footage in our township put us up to being considered a lesser of a township? I don't know what it isn't. Have we looked at that? Because that was a big concern about keeping our first class condition as a township, tax breaks, all this other stuff, whatever it may be, is the loss that is being required to have a certain percentage of each zone in the town. I wish I knew this stuff. I could speak more articulately about it. I mean, does somebody know that? Did we ask that? Did this go out for did Elgin County Commission come back and say, hey, no, you can change more agricultural land over your first class designation is fine, or is that not the case?
I thought the designation was more based upon population.
It's a question of, it's a question of population density, not specific zones or amounts of those zones. It's based on population per square acre.
So the however many residents that add
square mile.
It's fine. Okay. Cool. Thanks.
If there's any other comments, please come forward.
No, and I'm interested in
300 people per square mile. Nothing to do with zones.
That was a big when all this agricultural land keeps turning over to different zoning, right? It always the question when I've come to the meetings was that other people have raised it. I'm just concerned because I want to live in a class township, right? I want to provide great services for people, great resources for people. You know, more again, I appreciate you guys. Like, you know, the taxing on that kind of sounds a little contradictory to what we were just all like. I just wish like the developers would build what they say, but you're not debating on that right now. This is just a zoning change. So my concern is more about the zoning and the classification. If it's not a concern of the board, then it's not a concern.
I just my memory is, and I'm older than you. You were a young activist at the but
you were on our last time, Tom.
That was a question that was brought up, but I think the answer was the same then. But the feeling back then was to lose agriculture land. I mean, you think about right across the street from us. That was before J.C. Penney's. So So people really saw it going in those years. And then, the population also went from 15,000 to 28, 29,000. So, there's more people. So the resistance to the change is less now in the overall population. But your elected officials and your people appointed to planning and zoning still are looking out for, for the best interests of the residents. So, and like I said, I agreed with you. I wasn't an elected official. I was a citizen. Yeah, and
Right here talking
right,
like.
right, because we had lost Amp and Tyco, but they went to Lower Swatara, not far from you, and they built on land that wasn't land. And we had a tremendous amount of office space, and we still have to deal with that. Most places that have office parks now are concerned about blight because people don't work in office parks anymore. So you're gonna have these massive buildings. So imagine had that gone through. Right now, there'd be this, first you would have complained about all the people that were there and, the traffic in and out, but now we'd be worried about this big building that had to be repurposed to something else because people are working from home. So there's good development, there's bad development. Smaller scale residential, which Mr. Navarro is putting in with an event site. And for the gentleman that spoke, I think there'll be more regulation on his hours and traffic now that it's commercial than what he can do on his private residence. So you're saying that there were already events that you felt may have potentially inconvenienced you. Now, try that when he's running a business. It's not going to happen. He's going to have to comply. And the same thing, adding a road out of an area. And I don't know whether it's 324. Don't seem like you're getting mad at me. Huh?
Buildings with 12 apartments, and I don't know where I'm gonna
Yeah.
walk there every morning at 6:30 with my dog. I'm gonna walk up and I'm gonna count them tomorrow.
I don't have the fingers and toes, but if there's
It's really,
if there's 12 24s or something, it could add up to that. I don't.
100, that's news to me, Paul.
Yeah, but I wasn't disputing it because I had heard that. Just to be clear, in the planning commission meetings, I'm not on the planning commission. I was in the audience. I'm talking about this year, and I didn't see you, and I didn't know where you were, and I even saw you leave here once and come back. So
all the notices that you put up, we didn't get. A lot of us didn't see this until it landed in our neighborhood. I mean, look, if you found out that we're here, I guess it was too late at that point, right? To this,
I'm not even saying it's too late.
Like, it's cool. Look, again. It's somewhat personal because again, I think what he wants to do on the Hoffman farm, awesome. I drive by that place all the time and think, man, that would be great for a winery and a wedding venue. I thought it was because all the development that's happened there already, like you see, it's brewery tours, you do all that stuff right now. That's awesome, right? That makes me feel great. But I just have to question the same gentleman who did the plot of land that we just approved lied to me 20 years ago. And I like the guy.
You keep saying why he was planning to do a project that he didn't do. So you still have what you had. So
he pled with the commissioners to change the zoning to get the approval to build. That does not change. And he came back and
but that didn't mean he had the money or the ability or the time or he was raising his children or somebody was sick. Just because he got approval to do something doesn't mean he had to do it.
Approve that tonight. Approve the zoning change. And we're going to do another one. Again, Tom, I think you're a great guy. You hit home with me when you said about when you moved to the township. My father moved here. Saw the farmland, loved it. I'm pro development, but I just want trusted developers that would involve the community and rally around. That's it.
And I appreciate your activism and your compassion. Let's leave it at that.
As a wedding venue owner, I appreciate your pain, of the pain you're gonna have. Is there a noise ordinance in this township?
Mm-hmm.
So that'll protect all the residents from any excessive noise, correct?
What would that ordinance be, if you don't mind?
There is a noise ordinance. There's all kinds of.
Yeah.
What is it? Do you know off the top of your head? What the quiet
Noise ordinance.
I don't know.
For outdoor venues.
Oh, Swatara. I got
Okay, so there's a noise ordinance all the time based on how loud the noise is. And then there could be time regulations.
This time, I believe it's 10 p.m. if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All unnecessary noise is prohibited.
So
There is no
once-
time of day. It's 24 hours a day.
Okay, so once there's licenses and any noise that somebody may experience now. Bill said he heard it, they were banging, he
Yeah.
enjoyed the music. But after they get licensed, it's a legal venue rather than a family event, then there are, restrictions.
There will be set hours.
Plan, right, right. Yeah. I mean, I understand, as a venue owner, I understand that. That was a good point, somebody who lives close, because I have neighbors.
Yeah.
I think one of my neighbors is here tonight, I don't know if you still live there, but, you know, it's a concern I had as a venue. I thought that behind her, I thought.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't know if you still lived
I
there.
enjoy the music on Saturday afternoons.
And-
Usually that's for the music. I know as a venue, I just felt as a neighbor, that gentleman, that's an important thing that should be addressed, that it's different if you have a barbecue and you're wearing your music at night, you may get a noise complaint, but as a venue owner, it's a strict. And I think it's great.
And
Looking for a-
Karen,
just
can I
to
just address one thing?
It's 10 p.m. to 7 a.m.
You can't read everything, you can't believe everything you see on Facebook.
That's
But I feel like I might be a little heartbroken. Are you going out of, so we won't be able to blame the noise on Harmony Hall, who's relatively, not on you, but the next question, and I hate to take up the timer. So it's gonna continue the same type of venue with new owners, or you don't know?
Well, I sold it to a developer, and the developer wants to keep the property as an event venue, so there is someone who's leasing it. I lease it to the developer lease it from him. I'm traveling. I don't want anything to do with it. 35 years in the business, I'm done, so.
Enjoy your travels.
Thank you. Very nice of you to say that.
And this will be mainly to your question, or so my dad has a question regarding
Microphone.
Sorry. Okay. So my dad just has a question to you regarding just the road building of the vineyard. So if for some reason, and maybe this is more of a full matter that we should discuss privately, if for some reason we want to connect into the road that you guys have already built, is that something that would be, I guess, favorable to, or is that something that you can?
Partnership.
That's a big question. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You can jump in there.
I just had a question. Mr. Navarro. I just have one question. With the way you're planning on having this built, is it gonna affect any resident existing there right now with having to hook up to sewer?
Well, I'm going to refer to the chairman of the sewer authority.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Matter earlier.
Appreciate that.
But, you know, obviously, development could not occur without public sewer. And the plan is been submitted to DEP, the Act 537 plan that calls for sewer lines all through the Chambers Hill area to Swatara plant along 322 via several pumping stations, which are, I think the distance from the residential areas are pretty far. So
Those lines are staggered. Yeah.
So whenever those houses are required to connect the crest or other failing systems, that's not part of this plan.
Right. My question is, with this plan, the way you want to bring it forward, is it going to force any resident that's already living in that area to hook up? That's the only question I have.
I would have to look into the regulations as far as if there is someone within a certain distance that is required to connect, we would be prepared to pay the cost.
Okay.
For the affected, property
Okay.
owners. I believe we.
So you would take care of the cost if it does happen for any of the residents that live in that area?
So if anyone's 150 feet, within 150 feet of the.
It's not 150 feet. It's not 150
Yes,
feet.
it was.
It's by district.
Excuse
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Steve, can you please correct?
No, you're incorrect. Because when the backbone was brought
Steve, can you
up
handle this,
Chambers
please?
Hill and it stopped right at the top of Chambers Hill Road, that was not based on district, that was based on feet. Yes. Yes.
The township's ordinance does have a distinction depending on the district, what that number of feet is. I don't recall which is which.
Yeah, I used to think that the whole time too.
And it was 150.
Some are 100, some are 100.
Okay, no, but if it would, you say
Right,
you're
so
willing to
sure.
take care of it, is what you said. Yes,
But it's
sir.
Set by us, right?
Just to clarify.
They're not going to be affected if anyone is affected within the certain distance of the main lines that we're proposing.
Right.
Yeah, but it's such a hypothetical question because we already know where the backbone project's gonna be. We know where majority of, like the different phases of the McNaughton projects, let's say Chambers Point, for instance, where that's gonna be. That's gonna be part of this backbone project.
It's
Where
not
you're,
150 feet short so that people were not forced to hook on. And I remember the language of the document that was provided at the time. So that was part of the agreement.
get right, that it would not be.
Correct.
Right, that's, yes, we're all arguing the same point. We're not gonna come closer than whatever that district would say that you would have to hook the sewer. That has been well thought out and well planned out. Now, if you decide to build a house in the middle of that line, that's a different situation, a brand new house, that's something different. And I don't know where it would stand legally, I'm not asking for a legal opinion, if you would have a failing system that would be close to that line, what would be required? I don't know that one. Yeah.
Regardless, it would have nothing to do with this development if it goes through this
No.
way. That's all I want to know. Thank
We're
you.
not
sir.
forcing anyone to hook.
Appreciate it.
Got somebody raising their hand. Come up.
We can connect the road or not. I need the answer here and now. Because if not, we need the township approval or we do again make sure how far that the land, the road, earth or for him. Because I'm not sure now. For the when I take the home for my brother, he showed me that over that one. But the gentleman, he said someone that like now on the mailbox. But I'm not sure. That's why we can use the gold that one. Now, if not, we better. You are approved or we do again, make sure which one for my land, which one for him.
There's nothing that he's gonna do that's gonna eliminate any rights that you already have. If you wanna work with Mr. Navarro on something, that's a private thing, that's not for us. That's your property to his property, so, it seems like there's a lot more questions that could be worked out between the two neighbors. But, anything that you legally have, right of way or thing like, that won't change. But I will be clear, sometimes when somebody lives on a property for a long time, they're used to cutting through a certain way, or they expand their borders. So it's all gonna depend on the legal description of your land. Mr. Navarro had answered, was that your son? Yes, that's your son? So he did ask him the question, I don't know if you heard the answer, that if is it possible? And I mean, but that's not something we're gonna hold Mr. Navarro or you to, but the answer is,
Okay. Is he okay?
yeah.
Yeah.
I need to do again.
If there are any other concerns, during the land development plan, once, at the planning commission, the time to bring those concerns forward too. If this portion that you're talking about, that would be between just two of you, but if there's anything about the project as a whole that is a concern, there will be, when a plan is submitted, it's to our planning commission, we have public meetings, they're the first Tuesday of the month. And the agenda is posted on our Facebook page and our website. Look and see if this plan is on there. Just keep an eye out each month, and then you can bring other concerns and questions to that. And have them.
I don't use the mud. I only leave it. The reason I asked the gentleman like that, because when I buy the house on the 2004,
Mhm.
that the person, the guy told me that the over that,
Mhm.
and the owner before sell that gentleman asked me, you need to sell something for he make the goal. I don't know which one we need to do, but right now the goal the gentleman open, that means on my leg,
Right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's why I question.
I'm not sure what you were told in 2004. It could be 100% accurate, but I think, I mean, you're talking to a person who's a neighbor and is doing, a project. This, you could be coming here and it could be somebody else that bought this from, another state, and you wouldn't be able to have the conversation. So, as the president of the board said, if it's something that comes before us and you have a dispute or a concern or something we can help you with, we will. But it sounds like right now you have a conversation with a neighboring property to work out. And, at least you're having the conversation. That doesn't always work. Some neighbors don't get along. Yeah.
For me, not big deal, because the goal we did, right now we not use, we not laying up.
Mhm.
But something we, something else we need to go, because the goal not much, for behind my land, exactly on my land. That's why we need something, we need, when we need, we can get another goal, another exit,
Mhm.
something like that, Yeah, and
But just to be clear, you didn't know the answer yesterday or a week ago or a month ago, and you might not get it tonight, but you have a chance to talk and work it out. So, I think you're at a better point tonight than you were before you came in.
Anyone else that would like to speak during this hearing? Their comments on the record. So then, at this point, close it out. Time is 9:15. Close out hearing number 3. And we're 9C, consideration of ordinance.
Motion.
Second.
Yeah, I'm just grateful, Mr. Navarro, that you're willing, if by chance it would be affected, that you're willing to help with that cost. So I appreciate that. And overall, personally, I think it's a fair, decent plan. So thank you.
With plans that can be to so that is reassuring to hear that from you as well.
I share the sentiments of the rest of the board, but I also want to thank you for your vision in bringing something different and exciting to Swatara Township, I feel like we don't have a lot of opportunity for entertainment in our township. And, you know, I think a wedding venue is a really nice idea. And I think, as long as people are staying within parameters of the 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., we're good to go. But thank you so much.
The only other thing I want to say is I appreciate being able this is not simple to have this many people at our meetings, and we always welcome feedback. We always want to hear from you. So don't be a stranger. Think of other nights too. All right. Does anyone have anything else? Secretary, could you do roll call vote, please?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Thank you very much, really.
You got
I spoke, or I'll just guess. Yes.
Speak to the regular meetings, please do so with name and address, and
Voice your frustration, but that's what it is. Your 5 minutes is up, right? Yeah, it's a big spot.
Deborah Knowles, 6080. I'm waiting to hear the latest status of the Attorney General's investigation into the false allegations that were made against the fire company almost 2 years ago. Allegations. Now, Tom allegations are done too much. In early 2024, he publicly confessed to falsely accusing Garner wrongdoing before the November 2022 election to cost him the election, even though Tom confessed that he was the one who did it, not Jeff. And then he fooled the public by saying, the voters just voted me in for 4 more years. There's nothing we can do about it. You think?
Sure, I don't think I ever said that, but.
It's on record. It was at one of these meetings. Shane, at the last public commissioners meeting, you again made Tom's gum decision to show how unprofessional and disrespectful you are by name-calling, berating, and bullying good citizens of the township during your commissioner's comments. You don't see our Dawson County commissioners acting unprofessional like this, so why do you? Whatever happened following Robert's rules? You called Randy names, verbally abused him, and bullied him at the end of the fire meeting for visiting a neighboring fire company and volunteer fire company and gleaning information as to what makes them successful. And then he shared it during public comments to help give the fire leadership ideas on how to make us more successful. Then you proceeded to bring your bad behavior to the next 3 township commissioners' meetings by continuing to do the same thing in your commissioner's comments after he publicly introduced himself and mentioned and nicely pointed out your bad behavior in a public segment of that commissioner's meeting. Then, of course, you had to make negative comments about Commissioners Tuckey and Zubek that twisted the truth and tried to pass them off as real truth. You forget that some of us have been attending these meetings for 13 years, and we see the truth as it happens. We also watch social media and see firsthand what's going on, so it's harder to pull the wool over our eyes. Please impress me in the future by refraining from showing how low life you want to be and please start making decisions. Also, please stop goading people into arguing with you in our public forum. We are not here to hear your ranting or admin. We are here to hear about the township and be able to have pride in our township commissioners, like we do with Commissioners Tucky and Zuba. Remember, God is always watching and is disciplining people no matter what. He does not like the evil things some of you are doing, and He will discipline you by dealing out a righteous justice that you deserve sooner than you think. And when He does, you will have no doubt where it's coming from, unless you repent and change, but that's between you and God.
Yeah.
This is the last time that someone from the Attorney General's office reached out to me.
I appreciate the biased opinion, but I didn't say anything to Commissioner Zubek or Commissioner Tucky last meeting that wasn't true, and I'll continue to say what I say to Mr. Conway when it relates to public servants, volunteers, and our military when they are attacked online. I will always take a hardline stance, and then lastly, I'll reiterate this for anyone.
You have.
Can I talk?
So
Did I interrupt you?
We attacked the military online. Is that what you want to tell people?
I didn't.
We attacked the military online.
And then
Are you
lastly,
sticking to that
lastly, anytime you feel the need to attack the woman that I've been with for 25 years who bared 5 of my children, I'm going to defend them. Any man is going to defend their spouse when someone tries to attack them, and
attack anyone.
because
You
you allowed it.
I'm sorry, but I thought we were responding to. Yeah.
I tried to.
I mean, everything out of his mouth is a lie. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
But your visitors requested comments, those kind of things to be addressed by commissioners.
Good.
Yep.
Have comments at this point. Please come forward, state your name and address, and then you make that.
Hello, Josh Lickett, 15 Highland Street. So I'm here to kind of ask about the Highland Street connectivity project and why it changed from 2021's plan to the February 2025 plan, where it changed the proposed sidewalk route from straight down Highland Street to turn on 2nd and then back Corner Avenue.
I believe it was, their main reason was because of the slope. If you're familiar with
My house, so yeah.
right, yeah, so your house is the house that was moved from another location?
Correct.
Okay, so because of the slope of not just your front yard, but then the drop off.
Okay.
So for those reasons, there is an existing easement where it would turn where they do the movie at the church.
Correct.
And then go down, I want to call that Horner.
Yes, Horner Avenue.
And the other reason was, at the time, there was going to be an attempt to salvage any of the old part of the farm, which if you saw what happened as dirt was moved, there was nothing holding that together as trees were pulled out. So we're actually looking to reclaim what we can of the stones and use that in the historical kind of marker at the entrance to the park. So you have 2 different terrains there. I don't know that other than in a concept, anything was just drawn straight across. Any meetings that I was in, it was going behind, and a lot of the parks you'll see are like that now. It's not a sidewalk or a pathway right along a road. So it's in, and it just was the nature of the park. And the connectivity then is back on, if that was your original question, because the school property originally was going to go down Highland Street across 2 properties, and there's a little bit of a slope and embankment issue there, but not major, and then cross the school, not right on the street either, but a little bit of the interior, and then go to the school driveway, original plan, and then it was going to go all the way to the park. The price went up, I don't know if you've been following this, but like 2, 3 months ago, we had to make the decision not to go with the full connection in this phase. And I don't want to speak like 100%, but I think we heard in the last 7 to 10 days that the project is now going to be funded by PennDOT, and it will be a complete connectivity. So I don't know. Yeah, well, we got, there's multiple different funding things, but we competed and we got a grant for, I want to say 550,000 of what we thought was a $650,000 project. The township was going to put 50,000. The school district agreed to put 50,000. And then as time went on, it got priced out. And by the time it went to development, that $659,000 project in 2021 was now, I want to say 1.5 or maybe even 1.9. Yeah, 1.8. And we weren't going to do it, only not because we didn't think it was important, but we didn't feel justified in spending township taxpayer money on a project that we felt there were 2 other entities that had more money that could do it. So the school district and that being a state road, we just couldn't justify. And I know you didn't ask this, but very similar to what you see going on the other end of the connectivity project, which is Eisenhower Boulevard. From Lindell to Highland, has been a concern of this township for many years, long before any of us were on the board. And multiple different plans came up. All of them included the township footing some type of bill or payment, whether it was lighting, intersection improvement. It's a state road. It didn't sit well with other commissioners, myself, but we were willing to do it for a safety project in our community. And that amount went from 180 to 540,000 at one point. Again, that's very prohibitive for us. And do we want to do these things? But if you can only do it in one spot with that amount of money, we backed off of it a little bit. And I would like to think that the partnership with PennDOT has improved. But you have to remember, they took 82 properties off the tax roll in the township, and they're doing a $2 billion project. Myself, other commissioners on both sides of me here have had different roles in roadway and public works, like as the committees changed over the years. So the township as a whole, with lots of commissioners over lots of years, wanted to see this done, all these projects, but just doesn't have the money to do it. And we're very close now. I think we have an approval to actually connect the two. And you see if you've been up there, you see what's going on. There's beautiful curbing and sidewalk. We're not paying anything now. And that has happened. And again, I don't know where, but we had that at 28th and Sycamore. The old traffic signals that were hanging on wires that you don't see hardly anywhere anymore, especially on a busy street like that. We were looking at certain expense there. It's getting up to, a couple $100,000. And that was done primarily with PennDOT funding, because they have to make sure the parallel roads are accessible during this. Like, we're inconvenienced now with the projects. It's going to be a major project cut right through the middle of the township. So I don't.
And I'm aware of that. My 2 major concerns with this is, the first is the main part of the connectivity project is for people to safely walk up and down Highland Street. And now you're pushing people to walk a block in and then walk a block over to then come back down. So it kind of negates that. And then in addition to that, the easement which you're talking of is what's called a paper street. So that 3rd Street connectivity never happened up above there, and originally it was supposed to. So there's a little bit of a legal standing. My neighbor that lives behind me, her and I have a 20-foot easement for Horner Avenue if it were to have ever gone through. Back in the 60s, it never went through. So there's strong legal standing where after 21 years where the township does not use that, they negate those privileges and it reverts back to the residents. In this case, myself and my neighbor above me. So not only have we not been informed about this change, which it had changed, but you need an agreement upon the residents that easement abuts onto the land and a 51 approval. So we've not been informed of anything. And then there's also the legal aspect of it, which 21 years is long coming past. I've been there almost 10. They've been there pretty much since the house was built. So that's really the large concern where it directly impacts me. However, from the community standpoint and also family standpoint, I go from having a sidewalk in front of my house where people utilize versus somebody's not going to go a block out of their way to use the trail or use the path when they will continue to just walk straight down Highland. So it kind of negates the whole point of the safety aspect of a sidewalk. And in addition, now my children who can play in the backyard currently are now susceptible to a lot of public access. So that's where the concern is from a personal standpoint, not just from the easement perspective as well.
I just wanted.
Correct, and I wasn't even aware of that when I planned to come today, so it just coincided. Okay. Because I don't disagree. I have to mow it every single 3 weeks, all spring, summer. It is a steep hill. You would pretty much have to engineer.
I mean, I don't know where we're at, but this is the first time I'm hearing this, and if it got to the point where the conversation happened, I'm just going to be clear that you are not concerned about the front of the property then.
Well, it's ultimately up to the state because it is.
Right. Yeah, and it was, just to answer the original question, the main factor was safety because of where your property comes down there, and then the other thing drops off, and that road was existing. So I had never, I mean, just to be clear, it was bought in 2011. None of us were on the board then. There was multiple designs.
It's a multifaceted
concern.
One of the aspects is safety. The sidewalk in the front provides safety. Obviously,
right.
A certain level of curb appeal for residents in general.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, for a state road, 25 feet from the center, and I mean, because it is a state road, theoretically, they can come take it whenever they want. However, this easement is not that. So we're talking two very different things in the sense of one Highland Street versus Horner Avenue.
That be once that has taken place, that be at the point where Dollar would reach out to you. I know that's taken place for portions of this. We have another project, relocation side.
Sure.
And again, during that process, the affected property owners will reach out. So I think that will take place.
Which, if anything to do with Bishop Farm, residents were reached out to? That's interesting. I didn't. Okay.
Yeah, that's what. So the other one, the design is done, we know what we're doing, and then at that point, that's when we start to forward contact property owners, try to work with them to see so that's, we didn't get that far.
And then to follow up with the Bishop Farm, what is the easement from property lines for what they are going to be doing?
Easements as far as?
From one property line to the next, there's usually, when
there aren't a lot of easements associated with Bishop Park and development. Because a lot of it's owned by the township.
For any structures or anything like that, there's a certain level of easement. I know the park is not going to be structures specifically on that line. However, there is usually a little bit.
No, when you look at the boundary line.
You're talking about buffers and setbacks?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, there are requirements on those, and I mean the whole plan is designed inside of that. There's nothing pushing out, and it also has some. PP&L has an easement, and they're going to be putting an underground line, which is great for the appearance of the park, but so there's I think 35 feet. Even if the line's not that wide, there's 35 feet. It goes up the middle, so right there that would be 70 feet at least going around the outer perimeter where there would be no permanent building or parking or curbing or anything like that.
But construction can happen up to the property line, correct?
Yeah, it's not gonna though.
Mm.
There's such, no,
Yeah,
there's
no with
such,
the buffer.
yeah, but if you, and I mean, if you want, the documents are public, you can see where all the structures and everything are, they're far away from residential. Yeah, they're far away from residential houses.
The
I
current
think
playground-
I think the closest that you have on the one side is probably like a playground set. And that's probably on the side that you're on, and then that lower end, there's nothing really there, that's a water basin at the
I was
lower
more
end.
speaking to the current tear down portion of this project.
Oh, you're talking the grading.
Let's just
I don't know about that. Yeah, I thought you were talking the structures and after everything's built. I don't even know if they would come back that far.
they don't. The structures don't. Yes, yeah.
I misunderstood the question. So yeah, you can clear from edge to edge,
Sure, sure.
but then you can't build on it.
If he actually has the construction documents, you can see it where they're gonna move the earth.
So I actually did print out a copy for you guys to view the differences.
Did you get that off the website?
On the township website, correct?
Yeah, I'm talking the construction documents. Yeah, if you look at the construction,
And I also do have
you can actually see more in detail what they're gonna do.
engineering company.
Dotwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. You did your research. Good job.
It's not my first rodeo.
You did a good job. Came with the facts.
Yeah, and our director of utilities, Kevin Traffic, is not here tonight, but I mean, he had said to me when we were meeting on site that he was gonna have a conversation with the people on, that's why I knew it was Horner. I wouldn't have remembered that. So I am right, is that Horner? Yes, and he had said that, I'm losing track of time, but I wanna say, no, it was in last week. I forget why it was after there was that sewage issue down there behind Gilligan's and Bully. Right, yeah. Which I don't know if you watched the meetings, there was grease going down a drain in a liquid form that solidified to block a drain. So what wasn't a break or a malfunction or anything like that. It just was poor decision making on somebody's part. But the whole thing does look totally different in the last 2 weeks as you come down through there, how it's opened up now. But as Commissioner Steele said, a lot of what you see on both sides from when you pass the harbor crabs coming through is a lot of required stormwater. Yeah, and things like that. But you said about your kids, I would give anything to live on the edge of a park like that, to be honest with you, just for my grandkids. So we're gonna try to do it right for you, is what I'm saying.
If you leave your email address, I'll give you the public documents and a Dropbox. I'll just give them to you.
Any other visitors requests or comments at this time?
I'll be quick. Nina Vacante, 5671 Chambers Hill Road. I just wanted to know the update on the status of the transition from the Red Lion Hotel to a drug treatment center. Have they encountered any roadblocks recently? And if not, is there any projected time frame when that transition actually is going to happen?
Do you have any info on that, or?
Steve, you can handle this.
I thought it would be quick.
It is quick, and Zach can correct me if there's anything I say that's incorrect, but the developer for that has requested an extension for the time to move forward. What was it, 6 months?
Correct.
So
when is that time?
No real update other than they're working on it to ask for a little more time.
May I ask you time for what? For plans to bring it to the planning committee, or more time for what? Is what I'm curious.
They need to submit their zoning permit by December or something for their special exception expire. So if they submit their zoning permit, I don't know the date. It's 12 months from the date of zoning hearing. So if they submit it by then, they have a year. The zoning permit's good for a year, and they can request an extension.
Okay. So it's still moving forward. It's just there's delays and
they miss applying for their
whatever.
And their special exception expires.
do it again. Okay. I was just kind of curious. I hadn't heard anything about it
Yeah,
recently.
I do have a question. Do we know if the hotel is still open?
It is.
It is as a hotel. I wasn't sure. I saw some activity recently.
Taking reservations
Yeah.
6 months. Still accepting reservations. That's what prompted me to, because I have people that are planning events and are using it, and I thought, what happens if this happens? I wanted to know.
Yeah, just to be clear, these time extensions are asked for a lot, and sometimes they, even before the planning commission, when somebody's, the project was already out in the news and things like that, and then they come before the planning commission and they delay it. And it could be financing, they could be changing their mind, could be a lot of different factors. But so they're coming up on the end of a year where they had submitted something saying that they would do something or take a next step within a year.
Which was approved.
Right.
But they
Yeah.
have to zoning
Please. Yeah.
by December, whatever. And if they don't, then they have to start the whole process all over again.
Well, they could ask for an.
Or ask for an extension.
They have to apply for it.
Yeah, they have to apply and then get it.
Okay.
Yeah, I may have misspoken and actually jumped a step ahead before that. I guess they do still have about a month to apply for the permit. If they do that, that starts the clock on completion of the work, and they can ask for an extension of that time frame as well.
That's where the year comes in. And you were talking about
The year comes in for applying for the permit.
Okay. Oh, okay. I got it. I was just curious. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else for visitors? Up to item 7.
President Alex, I would like to make a motion that we amend the agenda to move all reports, with the exception of the treasurer's report, to next week for combined reporting, because it's 10 o'clock and we've had 3 hearings tonight.
Next meeting.
Next meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, next meeting. Next
Yeah,
meeting. I'm gonna amend my amendment. Okay, next month. Just to save time for the residents.
That's fine.
They can post them. I'm fine either way. I just think in an effort to save time after 3 hearings this evening, we should probably give people a break.
Second.
Yeah, we got a motion, we got a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Tony's voting over. It comes to an occasional meeting and now he's voting.
Move on. We're up to number 8, motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion.
Motion,
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Ending October 31st, 2025. The beginning balance of all funds is $23,509,960.15. We received $2,916,389.50. We dispersed $2,480,889.57. With an ending balance of October, total all funds $22,945,415.60.
We have a motion to accept.
Motion.
Motion, second.
Second.
Presentation of the proposed 2026 budget.
Motion to advertise for public comment.
Second.
Ask questions.
This is the proposed, board of commissioners budget draft. This is the draft also of the so it whenever it's being completed, the result is here.
Can you zoom in?
Yes, sorry.
Probably one more.
Sorry.
There it is. Now they go.
When we go to also finish the draft, so we a little bit more to this. This is the one, the draft version.
So are we, can I just ask one question before we even get started? Is this not completed for advertisement?
No, it is.
Okay, so what do you mean by draft then?
There's going to be more, like, word description stuff that are recommended, or it has some figures and it has everything that the old one has. Excel sheet, it's just gonna have more, informative data.
Okay. Can we make the informative data just a little bit larger for us to be able to read?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. This is the general fund, the same exact lines that you would see in the Excel that we've used for all the previous years that I've been here. It has kind of your estimates for 25 and 26. And this includes all of the budgeted requested items from the presentations and the general fund, except for modifications. So everything plus budget presentations that were requested were confident in their those. And if you have any questions, the format this one, you'll see views first. The real estate figures are based on the real estate assessment that was also used in all of the presentations. Some of the revenues are permanent in code, so based on the new ordinance that were done earlier this year. So some of the revenues may slightly be less. And then the rest would be with, the budget for, obviously, we don't have accidents. And then revenues for expenses, some of the highlights that are different as we were in the public budget meetings. Fire alarms, system, the mini split system, the police, the communication radio expenses were requested to repair and replace the radios. The police also requested for the updated and that's the whole revised stuff for public budget presentation, the taser replacement program and vehicle replacement. For those some other highlights was the certification revisions. The contract for the public presentation for codes. For highway. They requested a vehicle and sound monitor, so we're discussing the budget meeting was calculated. There was also a request for paving this year, which was incorporated. Under funds and recreation, a vehicle was requested to replace the current R7 vehicle and also a strip for the knowledge to be part of the bill. That brings us next to the general. Is it back? Okay. This is also the first time. Okay. Fire. I'll keep it this is obviously only 25 or 26 budget requests that were talked about in the budget reviews. And monthly highway expenses are two auxiliary vehicles to replace road gear rescue vehicles.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
The fire hydrant fund, does that move back to the fire, or is it still in the general?
It's currently included in the highway services.
Or the general fund still?
For the service fund, this fund is consistent of all interest events, which is the recap sheet. You'll see that the revenues are all from real estate tax dollars, and the expenses again are different on interest payments of the two bonds township has. Here's a summary for that. And revenue comes from state liquid fuels funding, and the expenses are the same expenses that we have to approve the fuel expenses, which includes interstate traffic signal, electricity, street, some street lighting, and paving income projects to be approved will be highlighted. The ambulance fund again comes from tax dollars, and that the expense is the monthly payment of $8,200. So not expected to stay the same as several years. The old screw bill, there is a budget summary. We included an estimated year expense and revenues. The revenues come from the old fees, the doors by 730 feet. And the expenses include 25% of the SEO salary that was just one last week, along with operating expenses such as office expense, mailing, communication, and this. And that brings me to the, and I can go back to anything and it's hard to watch it all. Anyone have any questions?
I do have some questions on the capital outlay fund. There's, it lists a bunch of vehicles, equipment, things like that, but it doesn't really specify what any of those items are for. Is that something that you can include? Because I'd like to know what we're purchasing and for what purpose. Well, it's the one that seems to end up being, it's the capital outlay in the general. It says minor equipment purchase, well, that one's zero, but like, another minor equipment purchase is 10,000, there's another one for 17,500. There's a capital outlay, general highway, 120,000. I'm just looking to see what these items are for. Was there some, I mean, is there a way you can add some more substance to the line items? Because I think I had asked at the beginning of the budget season if we could itemize things a little better so that I understand exactly what things are for. Yes. And it's also, if I could come in at some point and maybe get some larger font.
Could I suggest that any commissioner that has a line item and a dollar amount, that Brittany could break it out for you? I don't know if that's
It's already broken out in the other attachment that she sent.
Okay, but I'm just saying they could get that. I don't know that we're gonna list
You
things
have the general,
individually.
everything that you're looking at right now is a general, the broken down view that Commissioner Zubek had requested be done with the budget. It's a 128-page document. It's in your email. There should have been 2 attachments. And one of the attachments was each line item subcategory.
That was the old format, is that what you're?
No. When she sent the PDF, there should have been 2 PDFs in there. One of them should have been,
I have 2, I only had 1.
the 2, yeah, send them, they should have the other one too. So there's another one, basically of the information that you requested so you're looking at the one line item that you just talked about, and then of every subcategory underneath that in detail. It's a 128-page document.
Yeah, I think it's important to know what we're voting on. Because there's a lot of zeros for the historical parts too, and I may be reaching out on, because I would like to know what we spent on things in the past, and this is nearly $1 million more than last year, so I just like to know what we're spending it on.
No, so she just sent the other attachment.
Oh, I thought you said it was sent.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
Oh, boy.
This is to advertise proposed would have access to it. This store last meeting of the year is when
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion.
Second.
Department, this is from PennDOT, preparing a construction project on Hines Road, State Route 2019 and County Tax in South Dakota Township. bridge over Beaver Creek will be rehabilitated. Box beams, construction, temporary traffic signal. Additionally, temporary benefits will be required while the existing roads are installed. So the department is proposing the use of Dairy Street as part of the detour route motorist on the road closure in addition to the route Street, State Road, and Deposit Road will also be used for the weekend road traffic. While State Route 2019 is closed, at the bridge location we have attached brand detour route that we are planning to for the public. Since the time and duration for enactment of this detour is stated to be 5 short-term weekend closures, which would be from Friday until Monday morning at 5. We don't have the dates or anything like that, but as that begins, try to get it to us here. I have a motion and a second. Do you have any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. We're up to item 13, approval of Highland Street activity and sidewalk project.
Second.
A motion and a second. We're in a position where we're not going to be able to move forward with this project because of the costs. And the township expending funds on the road that's not ours. At this point, the amount was projected to be $1.8 million. That's not something that was accounted for in any of our capital projects. So that we weren't going to move forward with it. Ballard worked with Tri-County Regional Planning and so very good news that they will give us an additional $1.5 million grant that they already gave us. So they will be completely funding project. What we're approving is the design, and I believe that the design amount that will be can be taken from funding that was the grant funding that was already awarded to us. The total for the expansion, the other thing that I mentioned is originally Doug was talking about using this project because retaining walls. PennDOT is requiring retaining walls on the school property, which that was not part of the original scope. That was part of any of the projected that we had, which originally being talked about. So, but they're paying for the full scope. So the original plan will be moving forward. And the cost for this is $230. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion at this time? All right. Hearing none, I'll just say
Aye.
second. Anyone would like to comment, please come forward. Item 15 on the agenda is possible stormwater. We're going to submit those on the website. We're up to 16 requests, comments, additional business comments.
Yes. It's good to see everyone that came out tonight. I appreciate the involvement from the community. I just want to set some things straight that was said towards the end of the last meeting, last week. Our campaign between Commissioner Zubek and myself, when we were running for commissioner for re-election, We never attacked anyone's family, never attacked any veterans, as was stated by Shane Still. Pretty much the majority of what came out of his mouth was complete falsehoods. And I really don't appreciate it. We ran a clean campaign. Everyone can look at our campaign if you want, pull it up on Facebook. You will see everything in there clearly. We didn't attack anyone's family. We never would attack anyone's family or veterans. I just really getting tired of this. You know, we're here for the right reasons. We've been here for the right reasons. And Commissioner Conley, you keep showing up at these Dauphin County Commissioners meetings, putting out falsehoods there too. It's just nerve-wracking and just disgusting. I do everything properly. I know Commissioner Zubek has done everything properly. And it just isn't right. But you don't really care about what's right and what's not. And it's just a shame that the past almost 2 years we couldn't work together and stuff. And it could have benefited the township a lot. Unfortunately, I couldn't see a lot of the direction that 3 members on this board was going. That's pretty much where I was at. Unfortunately, it's not that I didn't want to work with people. I work with people all the time. It's definitely not because I don't know what I'm doing in life. Fortunately, I've had a successful, I still do, for 27 years business in this township. I might not know everything, but if I don't know it, I find out the information and make sure I'm aware of what's going on. To try to discredit people and bring them down when there's no truth to it, I have an issue with. And like I said before, I'm the first one to speak, so we can't talk after the fact. Other people want to bring other issues up and whatever they believe to be true, which after you're told so many times at these commissioner meetings at Dauphin County, Mr. Conley, the truth, and yet you still want to go there and still keep bashing us. I don't understand it. I'm not going to ever understand where you come from half the time. I appreciate everyone that is staying involved in the community. Please keep doing it. Voice your concerns. It's only going to make our township better in the long run. And thank you for coming out tonight. You have a great evening.
Oh yes, I wasn't gonna say anything tonight about it, but I guess I will since Commissioner Tuckey did bring it up, and that is the continued false allegations by the gentleman sitting to my left, if I can say gentleman, Commissioner Tom Connolly, show up every week, shows up at the county commissioners meeting, spreading false information, false allegations, clearly has no concept of what the campaign finance law includes, and was schooled on it just a few weeks ago by the Dauphin County Bureau of Elections, and still doesn't understand it. And the district attorney got up and said, you know, he wanted to, you know what, I would be happy if someone investigates me per your request because you're a liar and I have nothing to hide. Nothing, absolutely nothing to hide. Everything was filed in a timely manner. I have an email. I emailed the Dauphin County Bureau of Elections and I asked them, was everything filed in a timely manner? Were there any late fees assessed? And the response I got is everything was filed properly. But you want to continue to lie to the residents in this township, just like you've broken our finance department. I mean, we lost $2 million in 1 year. And you want to sit there and point fingers and deflect because you can't look yourself in the mirror. It's disgraceful. And you know, while I love serving my township, and I truly enjoyed serving my township for the last 8 years, what I didn't love is sitting next to a liar. and I'm grateful that I won't have to for a little bit anyway. And now I'm gonna go on to the data centers. I had a resident reach out to me with some continued concerns about data centers, and I've heard many commissioners up here talk about the, interest of the township and wanting to preserve open space and wanting to do all of this great stuff for our community. But what about prices? What about electric costs? What about water prices? What about all of the things that the daily things that people really think about that they have to pay every single month? And we have a lot of seniors on fixed incomes. And so this gentleman, I'm going to read it. Our resident, Mr. Tom Garlick, has some concerns that he sent to me, and I'm going to read them for him this evening. Please present this for me in public comments, he said. I spoke with a regional vice president with a large investment firm. The data centers are going direct to energy providers for deals. This means they're not on the grids and get their power directly from the energy providers, which then decreases the amount available for residential customers. This drives up the prices for normal people. The best example of this bait and switch is in Georgia. They opened the newest nuclear power plant in the nation in 2023. This was done to supposedly lower prices for consumers to offset data center usage. It didn't, and prices went up. And this is the most advanced power plant in the nation. Tom Garlick. I just want to reiterate, I had presented a document, it was completely misconstrued, there's a surprise, and a lot of false information was put out, but one of the things I included in there is that we really look at energy costs. And as someone who's going to be sitting in that audience in just a few months, well, actually a month, I'm going to be asking the same question. And you're not going to be able to interrupt my sentence, and I'm going to be allowed to finish speaking. You're not going to be turning my mic off every time you don't like what I have to say. I'm looking forward to continuing to participate as a resident in this township. It's my right to participate, whether I'm sitting here or in the audience. And I hope I won't be called any names. I hope I'll be treated with more respect than some of these wonderful people have been treated with throughout the year, have had, differing opinions. But at the end of the day, we are all people. We are all neighbors. We're supposed to be that. My fellow commissioners on the board are not supposed to be showing up at county meetings saying, I want my opponent on the board, which I shouldn't be, but I want my opponent on the board investigated for some made up fake campaign finance allegations that I came up with while I was drinking coffee or tea last week. It's ridiculous. It's disappointing. You have made my time on this board a fallacy. You're fake. I hope everyone has a good evening.
Thank you.
I don't have to go really fast. Excuse me.
I want to thank our firefighters. I think they were close to. I get set up.
Batteries right now.
Testing.
Oh, they turned it off, Steve.
Batteries don't run out.
Testing. Is it working? Am I ready to go?
You can talk through that little mic on the thing.
There you go, buddy. Shouldn't be allowed to talk anymore when the mic.
I want to thank the firefighters that came out for the burn on the McNaughton farm off 61st Street. I think we had close to 30 firefighters out there. Joel McNaughton was here tonight. He donated the use of the old farmhouse on that property for fire training, and our guys did a great job. Don't see him in here, but I want to thank Chief Everson. I saw he was out there. We had people from the State Police Fire Academy, and I think we had some support from Lower Swatara. Did I have that right, Mike? There was one interesting thing that we didn't run water continuously there, but we filled some on-site containers to put the water out, and we started to get things from the neighborhood saying that the water was cloudy or rust covered. I want to be clear, nothing from what we do goes into the water. So if there's sediment in the water, it means it's already in the line, and the use or the pressure could stir it up. So there was some confusion. People thought that a few people thought that the fire drill was somehow responsible for the cloudy water or what was in the water. It is possible that sediment was stirred up through the process. My concern with that is, why is that in the pipes anyway, for us to even be questioned? I want to thank the Chambers Hill PTO for having a Donuts with Veterans event. I had the opportunity to attend that, and it was great to see the posted thank you notes from the children in the design of a U.S. flag, and I appreciate the PTO and the school for doing that. Also, I had the opportunity to attend the Rutherford VFW Veterans Day event, and it was moved inside, cold temperatures and a lot of wind. Some people did meet at the circle as originally scheduled, but again, it was a nice event, and I want to thank all the veterans for their service. The tree lighting will be, and Commissioner Ellis probably was going to say this, December 2nd here at the Township Building. That night, we will not have the Planning Commission meeting. That's a Tuesday night, so the next Planning Commission meeting will be December 1st, on Monday night, and then wherever possible in the year, it'll stay on the same pattern of the first Tuesday. But there's every now and then there's an exception to that. One of the things that we took away from Superintendent Stauffer was the ability to announce the next Coffee with a Cop date and location. So if you want to add that, since you didn't get to do your report.
Test one, Brandon. Thank you. There we go. Yeah, the next Coffee with a Cop is a week from this Friday. It's on November 21st. Be right here in this building, downstairs in the swear room at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Breakfast with that? Or?
I will go buy some donuts and we will make some coffee.
Okay. That was always good. A second. And then on Thanksgiving Day, we'll have our Day of Thanks cleanup. We'll be meeting at 9:30. It's 9:30 to 11. It is an excellent opportunity for people that don't prepare the meal to be out of the house while that's going on and return hungry. We'll figure out where we're going to do the cleanup, and we'll announce that as it gets closer to the date. But just so you know, it's going to be Thanksgiving. I believe this is the 12th or 13th year that we did this, 9 to 11, and you can come anytime between there and stay as long as you want. I want to address a couple things related to where we're at in the township. Again, we didn't have the fire report, but this township is now down to a 5-minute, 27-second response on fire calls to date throughout the year. And that's many, many fire calls. The numbers are increasing. This budget that we proposed tonight does not have a tax increase in it. In fact, I was reviewing some of the revenues as we were going through the process, and we underestimated and under quoted the numbers compared to even the historical data in 24. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. If anything happens with the economy or the money coming in, we already lowered the expectations on the revenue, but at the same time, we are providing services, and there's more spending for the citizens. So this will be no tax increases since 2013 in a township that also, as we saw tonight, has the lowest stormwater fee. Our leaf collection is going on now, and the guys are doing an incredible job with that. We also generally lead the area in snow removal. And the recreation program is being improved drastically with parks being upgraded and added in the township. So I'm very proud to serve on board with the commissioners that are here now, commissioners in the past, that put us in this position. And that's really what it's about, doing the work for the public. And I'm just gonna wrap up with addressing if you take money from political action committees, which we see here, one side of the equation takes money from political action committees, and then those political action committees put information out that is inflammatory, inaccurate, offensive, tries to distort pictures of people and messages. If you accept that money during your campaign, then it is you that is putting out that information. And you are responsible for the campaign finance reporting as it's related. To be clear, the things I raise at the county are done because the county oversees elections. We don't oversee elections. And yes, I want the elections to be fair. And the things that I raise happened in the primary election. I wasn't up for election this year. And it was in the Republican primary, and I'm not a Republican. But if you don't file reports and you accept money and influence, and anybody can look up the laws, if you accept influence and it exceeds $250 from somebody, you have to put that on a piece of paper so everybody can see.
Filed properly, Tom.
Okay, see,
Stop
I didn't
lying.
interrupt anybody.
Everything was filed properly.
I didn't interrupt
And
anyone.
I'm sick and tired of your lies and your slander
Okay,
and your
so
defamation.
it is online for people to look at. So if you research the
You're a
candidates
liar.
and you look for the pre-primary reports, you can review them. The reason this is done is so that the citizens, when they vote,
And you had a PAC in 2020. Why don't you tell everybody the truth about that one?
this is done, and it would have been properly reported, and you can look up if that's true, I don't know. But I'm talking about outside PACs that mail things from, 100 miles away. And
You're allowed to have one yourself.
okay, and mail negative things. So that if that's your campaign, you're responsible for it. You do not get to say after the fact, I didn't know anything about it, I didn't say anything bad. You are responsible for what your campaign puts out in support of you, and then you have to file that. And what I was getting ready to say before I was interrupted here is that's to protect the citizens. So if somebody funds a campaign, you want to know who's paying for the campaign.
So everybody in the county that
And
says
again,
you're
I didn't
lying,
interrupt
you're
her, and I'm trying to
incorrect.
wrap
Everybody
up
at the
my
county is wrong, and
commissioner's
only you're
comments.
correct, right?
Okay, so
You know the law and they don't.
The one sign of a person who isn't telling the truth is when they're interrupting someone who is. So that's pretty evident right here. But I want to be clear, over the course of the last 2 years, I didn't interrupt when someone was speaking, but I sit next to somebody who
turn their mic off.
Who interrupts. I've never turned anybody's mic off. I couldn't even turn mine on. So just to be clear, this message of gloom and doom and how bad things are, the township is really improving. And we heard tonight about some different opinions on development. I've also had different opinions on development at different times. And I got involved, and I'm happy I did. And it was kind of great tonight to hear all of those conversations and concerns from the residents. And I think overall, we alleviated them, and I stand by the votes that I take. So I want to say I hope everybody has a good night and appreciate you coming out. And again, thank this board. Commissioner Steele puts in a lot of work, Brittany puts in a lot of work, the department heads, to get this budget ready to go. So it's a good budget in an uncertain time. Just think about this. This is the last thing I'm going to say. We're not on an island. You're here in Swatara Township. Be interested in what we do. Check the facts, but also look at the surrounding communities, and maybe people will be a little more grateful for the low tax rate that we have, the great service that our employees provide, the low stormwater fee that is required. We didn't want to do that, and maybe as we go into next year, there'll be more positives about the township than negatives, because we're going to get some new people on the board, but the board itself I believe, will continue, just like this board did, to do the work of the people. So thank you very much.
I'll be very quick. Thank you everyone that joined online. Thank you everyone that came here in the crowd and joined us for this lovely evening. It was truly a good night because I think this is probably one of the most packed nights that we've had where we've had engagement from our residents, and sometimes that's refreshing for us to actually get an opportunity to engage with residents. So thanks for coming out. I just want to give one quick shout out to one of our residents, James Russell Smith, for achieving the rank of the Eagle Scout. Job well done, young man. Also, all the volunteers that helped out at the berm this weekend. If I'm not mistaken, I'd say we had probably a good 40 firemen, like Team Fire. Also, there were some instructors there that assisted. So, was it 3 drones? I think 3 or 4 different drones were there from 3 different municipalities. There was a Mike, help me on this one. What is a guy that has a big YouTube channel on industrial recruitment videos? I mean, it was an excellent time. And then Mission Barbecue for hooking the firefighters up for food. But Mr. McNaughton, Joel for what he did for the firefighters to help out. Fire police, I don't ever want to leave them out because they also do an outstanding job. And that's all I have for tonight. Drive safe and have a good night. Oh, I don't want to forget the highway guys either. Appreciate you guys.
Tree lighting ceremony, which is be December 2nd, here at the building. That's Tuesday at 5:30, and the actual lighting of the huge tree out front takes place at 7 p.m. Wish everyone happy Thanksgiving. All the residents wish everyone that's here a safe trip home and a good night. And everyone at home, and thank you for being here. I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, second.
All
Aye. Yes. Chief James Russell Smith. So again, first two, James.
I was getting ready to say something like that, but since they're here, I'm supposed to.
So what he wants to do is
Point out the bad year is 23. It's on there. I see this voting for it. I'll use that later. What's that happening?